box looks so sick, though. All right. Well, I guess I should start by saying thank you because it has been about a hot minute, like 3.5 years since I've sat down and doing a podcast. So I want to thank you, first of all, for coming in. I'll introduce you. A new element to the podcast, video now. So look at this. I'd like to introduce to everyone my friend Nate Kren. Nate, again, thanks for coming. Thanks for doing it. It's been a long time since I got to sit down in front of some mics, and you're a guy that I knew I wanted to talk to about a lot of different things because you're a guy from my experience with you. You do a lot of stuff. You like a lot of things. You got hobbies. You got a crazy, awesome career. Cool past, We'll get into a bunch more of that. So, again, appreciate you being kind of the pilot guest on this new version of Average Joe's podcast. So, thanks for being here.
Happy to be here with an intro like that. I feel like I can't let you down.
Yeah, I want to let you tell them who you are, but let's start with a little tap of the glass.
Cheers.
Hey,
cheers, brother. Appreciate
it, man. So the original podcast I did for 3 years was all about beer, but it was all about the stories behind it and the people that own the businesses. And you got these kind of deep dive stories into like, why the hell would you think that you could just walk away from the regular world and just brew beer and sell beer for a living? That always fascinated me when I started getting into craft beer. I go to these tap rooms, I meet these guys. I'm like, well, they're all so cool and interesting. Like they're engineers and doctors and lawyers and shit, but they decided to walk away and start a brewery or brew for somebody else that owns a brewery. So you got these crazy stories and, pandemic, sure, that happened. That was like the height of when I was doing these shows. I was traveling everywhere. Couldn't do that anymore. So slowed down, tried to do some stuff online. Really hated it. I got to be in the space, be with the people that I'm talking to. So this was something I always wanted to do is kind of have like the same thing. I want to hear stories. I want to talk to people. And that's what this is going to be, but it doesn't have to be focused on beer. We're going to drink beer while we're doing it. Don't get me wrong. That's going to be awesome. But I wanted to do something that's just a little bit more about some people. And I feel like I meet all these interesting people and I want to hear more. And even as long as you know somebody or as much as you are around somebody, you don't always get to know everything or like how they got to be. You just kind of know this like 5-year chunk, So I've known you for the better part of 3 years or so, 4 years.
Yeah, 3.5. Sounds right.
Yeah, so like we know a lot of the same people. We came from a lot of the same like areas, specifically like locale. Our group here in this area, we knew each other through, my brothers around your age and blah, blah, blah. But our kids ultimately brought us together playing baseball. Mm-hmm. So I meet, Coach Nate, first fall ball I think you coached for Joseph. He's probably 9 years old or something. Mm-hmm. We held a meeting and shook your hand, got to say hi. I'm like, all right, it's a good guy, knows baseball. First thing I remember them saying, played college baseball. I was like, played college baseball. What a world that must have been. Like, as a non-athlete, it was kind of like, all right. So you went to Wesleyan, right?
Illinois Wesleyan, yep.
Illinois Wesleyan. So to get to that level of baseball, right, a lot goes into that.
Yeah.
You didn't have any brothers and sisters, right? You're only child.
Only child. I like to say that my parents had me, and when you have greatness, right? It was just like, no,
done. We're done.
It was, I don't know. It was old school. They're baby boomers. They said one and done, and that was it. So I was the only child. Take it how it is.
So were you like all-American kid, like grew up exactly, the suburbs of the Chicagoland area, and they put a ball in my hand at age, whatever, like same, that kind of story?
No, it's funny because I guess you don't think about how it started or where you came from until someone actually asks you. And like our kids playing together, I asked my parents, when did it start for me? And they said, you had zero interest in sports. Zero.
What are we talking, like 3, 4, 5 years old?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, standard, whatever, kid growing up, but the not to get too deep into it now, but the evolution of baseball, in-house travel has drastically changed.
Different world now.
So you really didn't play ball until you were, maybe you do a T-ball when you were 7, but then, Pinto as you know it, Shetland wasn't really a thing. Shetland being the age years, right? Pinto being 7 and 8. Excuse me. Yeah. I didn't start till 7 or 8, and they said the league was already full. And I came home from school and said, "Hey, everyone else is playing. I think I should play, and that was it. That's how it started.
Dang. And then, and from there, that sparks you. I mean, because you got to think to make it to that level of baseball. Doesn't matter what college you go to. You went to school specifically to play baseball. Obviously, you got an education too. Like there is a lot of hours and time, and I'm guessing you didn't just play one sport. I mean, that was not like that back in the day. You used to play everything.
Yeah, everything you could. I will say, and if there's going to be a timeline or a story behind it, I can get to that. But my parents were kind of hardcore on you got to prove you can handle one thing before you added another. So,
really?
But traditionally, there wasn't the lacrosses, and
Not in
all the
Joliet.
wild sports,
No,
right?
no.
It was baseball, basketball, football, maybe soccer. I remember playing soccer and not liking it. I remember being taught how to swim at the old Y and not
I almost
liking
feel
it.
bad. I hated soccer. Like I didn't even have a reason to hate it.
No.
Like I just didn't like playing it.
I
don't know.
appreciate it, but
Don't know why.
Not for me.
It never caught on in our neighborhood. All the bros running around. Nobody was ever kicking soccer ball.
No, you're either shooting a ball or throwing a
A
ball.
lot of basketball.
Yep.
A lot of football.
Yep.
A lot of baseball.
Yep.
Yep.
It was it was that they're like, okay, you're in, and it was so I was born and raised in Joliet, right by, for the local listeners, Hey Hot Dog.
Oh, dude, the best. My kids still love going to Hey Hot Dog.
Yeah, it's an institution.
Get a keg of root beer. If
Been
you want
around
to. $40.
Yeah, where can you get that? You can't even buy a
Nowhere.
case of root beer for barely that cheap. But St. Joe's. So we were a Joliet family. St. Joe's was, a banner legacy program. My grandpa played there, my dad played there, I played there. So it was only natural that that's where it would be. And
Yeah. St. Joe's was it, man. That was the only game in town. I remember.
It was, but in getting older, and I was talking to some guys at work the other day. They're like, "Do you remember this league?" I'm like, "I do," because I remember progressing and playing these leagues that now are defunct and been
Like
torn down.
Rivals.
That was gonna be the first
The
one.
neighbors across the street were at Rivals. There every weekend, dude.
Rivals.
Haunted Trails right there.
I mean,
Can't beat that.
what a cool little place it was
Yeah,
too.
it was cool.
But something that was maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles away from St. Joe's, like I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but this is the day of little kids running around coming home when the street light came on.
Yeah, not what we have today. And like I know you kind of brushed on it, like the whole everything's specialized. They're playing one sport all year round. It's like there's no more like rounded. You're not getting those muscle memory of the fast twitch muscles of football or basketball or something, and then applying that later on to your baseball.
Right.
Now it's just like 12 months. You're just hitting, you're fielding.
It's unfortunate, and hence the burnout.
So, but for your time, obviously, you're coming up, you're playing other things. Like for me, I always look at my son at 11 years old now. He's not the biggest kid. I was never the biggest kid. My wife's small. We're small. We expect to be small. We expect he's probably going to be small. Like, did you grow up? Did you kind of know right away? Like, I'm a little bit bigger than these kids. Like,
not at first, and I think that's ultimately what catapulted my career in baseball particularly, but other sports. Shortly thereafter, 7, 8, 9, I grew like a wildflower. Tall, gangly, skinny, but a head.
God, you sound awful.
Height, yeah, awkward, like
Tall,
a
gangly,
fawn,
skinny.
A fawn on ice.
Knock knees.
Yeah, never was fast.
No, never got the speed.
That is
gene,
100%.
huh? Okay.
Never was fast. Pulling a train, but I do think being the tall kid,
Power through the roof.
It gave me a slight advantage. But I will say I do remember, because you kind of compare it to how kids play now and everything, that the game didn't really, I think, explode for me or like click or take it to that next level until I was, I'm going to say 11, 12-ish, like pre-teen, like still gangly, but really starting to understand your body.
Is that like when you started to get good, or is that like when did you have like a one of those moments where you're like that I'm a baseball guy? Like,
Yeah,
I'm not fucking around with these other sports.
Right.
Like,
And I continued to. I loved basketball. I say one thing I did have is we had a large backyard that was asphalted to a half court of a basketball. So we would always play basketball there. Loved basketball. But the baseball thing, 11 or 12, figuring yourself out, that's when, all the home runs would come. And as a St. Joe's kid playing on what is now the Bronco field, their banner field right there where Bailey's Carpet was the big building in the right field.
Yeah.
Chignoli Auto was across the street. Pizza Hut.
Remember the corner?
Yes. Coach's Corner. Left field, almost foul, was Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
And that field is where you kind of would, I guess, etch your name in St. Joe's history.
200-foot wall, like it's got the wood wall in the middle,
the
right?
wood
tall,
wall,
is
which
a tall,
by default
pretty tall
is
wall.
Absolutely.
Some height for kids that age, yeah.
The distance not as traditionally far as it should be. So maybe 15 home runs would have been 10.
You can only hit
else.
it out of the park that you play in. So man,
right, exactly. It's not my fault they built it there. But that being said, that's kind of where it took off for me. And that's what
was it? Was it like the feel of like having the power numbers? Was it just like the dugout? Was the coach? Did you have any coaches that kind of like really set it off for you? Tell me it was Barry.
Yeah, my dad Barry was always coaching, but I was also fortunate that one of my really good friends, Matt, his dad Jack Szymanski, was a local area legend of the Gordy Gillespie family, who was also a local legend, nationally with his career. So,
this is where like our relationship, we kind of tie some of these pieces. We're like, we didn't experience the same thing. We weren't the same age, but like, I remember Matt Szymanski playing with my cousin on IBEW, going there at night for the pony games,
Yeah.
Big dude, just crushing the ball.
He was so I went to grade school with Matt, and he was that kid that was a man in fourth grade, hair on his face, hair under his arms. Like, man, this is a little man child. Mm-hmm. So, in addition to having some success myself playing, great coaches, seeing the ball, it just came natural. But playing with him as well got me more exposure. Because he was a name.
Okay, yeah, because he's got more people coming to look at him, or maybe there's an all-star team, and they're like, "Who's the other kid hitting tanks?"
Right, and that's kind of how it began. And I ended up being taller than him, so I guess jump forward a couple years. I hurt my arm, which is one of the reasons I will not teach my son how to throw a curveball yet. I was introduced to throwing a curveball.
That's a battle now, right?
It is because, travel ball, you got to have multiple pitches. You're 12. What else do you got?
My son's 11. He thinks he's got 6 different pitches he can throw.
I know.
I just want to see strikes.
Right. That's what I say. Throw me 99% consistent strikes, then we'll teach you another pitch.
He thinks he's throwing splinkers and slurves, and I'm like, bro, just throw it. Just throw the ball straight.
And I love it.
Put some juice on it.
I love it. But in addition to the hitting, pitching was probably my stronger point. Being taller, like a whip in the arm, like
you're right-handed too, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy because you played first base a lot, right?
Well, that's how that.
Sorry, I'm jumping in on you.
That's a perfect segue. That's how that came. Third baseman, 3, 4, 5 hitter, but playing with also exceptional talent. I remember I was throwing batting practice for, I can't remember if it was the 12 or 13 U All-Star team at St. Joe's that year, because they were getting ready to go to the World Series. So that we're going to bring in the younger guys throw. And I remember threw a curveball and was like, something's wrong. So something was wrong. It was a rotator cuff, tendonitis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Looking back, it's what I would assume they call the children's Tommy John now, but
the little
that's
league
evolved.
elbow stuff and all that. Yeah.
Well, third base is done. I just go over to first base.
It's a long throw,
right?
That's a
You're
long
done.
Throw.
So I still continue to grow as the Szymanski. So now we're 11, 12, and like, they'd be like Twin Towers. Where are those kids' birth certificates? Everywhere we went, it was bad. And if you think parents are bad at fields now, like back then, you could be ultra bad. No one's recording you. It's just me and you.
How many Schlitz did you have before you came here? Type situation.
There's no problem with people squaring off in the parking lot because that's how it was. So
you just did it.
That was that success. which was disappointing because I thought I could have been a pitcher.
Well, you're ready. You're pretty. Thought you're probably going to hit 90s at some point. If you continue to grow and develop and all that.
You put a couple beers in me, and we, around the campfire, I'd be like, I'll tell Brady, I'm like, listen, kid, had I not hurt my arm,
fuck Paul Skeens and his mustache.
That's right, pure gas, pure gas. But
fucking kerosene.
It is what it is. I didn't sulk and whatever, but you transition to more hitting or whatever, and then learning the craft of your position. So we still have success. We still continue to grow. I still continue to grow and grow, as does Matt. And from there, back in the day, if the in-house was good enough, you made the all-star team, right? And then travel really wasn't a thing.
Do you remember like what organizations were around at the time? Because I don't remember, because I wasn't involved in baseball past Pinto. I was like, deuces, I'm out of here. I was scared of the ball, all that, like the worst.
Not at all. I do remember as we grew, the same guys would make the all-star team.
Mm-hmm.
Partly political, like everything else in this world. Partly legitimate talent.
We saw it even at this age.
Man,
our kids now.
I don't know how much time do we got?
No shit. We don't want to even open that can of worms.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I do remember. I always tell stories, and I will say, like, I don't feel like I remember a lot from my childhood. Don't know why. Maybe
just fucking blocked it all out.
Maybe I blocked it out subliminally. Maybe there's more coming in, and the shelf is getting unloaded. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's got to get tapped into.
The hard drive has to make room and all that. Yeah.
But I do remember, as we're getting older now into our teenage years, 13, 14, my dad's like, there's an opportunity to play for this travel team. And I'm like, okay, give me, you're 13, 14, full of, whatever.
Piss and vinegar?
Right.
Is that what they say?
Yeah,
Piss and vinegar? All right.
Thinking you could run through a brick wall. I'm like, give me the best.
Yeah.
Give me the best around. I'll take it on. So Matt and I got to play be the equivalent of, like, these PBR teams or, the national teams, like regional teams. So we got to be on a team, 14. This is 14. We got to be on a team that was called the California Yankees.
Interesting.
So, very
California
interesting.
Yankees.
Yeah.
What was that team color? What was that uniform look like?
Right.
The old
the beautiful pinstripes,
okay.
Right? The coach manager was out of California with a few other, and then there was a few others from all over the states. And we would go and play these big tournaments as a travel team. And that was the first time I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not as good as I think I am. Like, I'm not hitting fourth or fifth now. I'm hitting seventh or eighth.
Okay.
And being challenged. but it was cool because of meeting kids, playing with kids. I do believe most of that team got drafted to the MLB. Yeah. One very notable name for Little League old school royalty, Sean Burrows.
Okay.
If anybody out there remembers growing up, he was this kid in the Little League. He was from like Long Beach, and his dad was an MLB player. He was like that kid that you tuned in when Little League World Series was on TV, and he was just dominating. So that's 11, 12, now we're 14, and he's doing these things, and this was ultra talent. So that was like my first exposure to, hey, there's another level. Took a lot of heat back home for leaving St. Joe's All-Stars. Like,
oh, really? So it was like that, huh?
Explicitly remember someone
like
cornering my dad and saying, "What are you guys too good for us?"
Well,
and my dad being the guy he is, and he's like, whatever.
not even gonna answer that question.
Much not a confrontational person unless you had to be.
Okay.
Confronted, he'd be like, dude, I'm not even wasting time.
Okay.
I probably would have done a little bit different if it was me and my son.
I could see that.
That was the first like real exposure for me for travel baseball, and that's 14. Now these kids are in 7U travel ball.
No shit. Yeah. No, I know.
Send us your $4,000.
I'm just as guilty. Even putting them in at 10. I'm like, probably shouldn't have done it. But I mean, God, we were all having so much fun. The kids all loved each other. We were coaching them. It was like,
Well, that's my fault. We'll get
now
into
it's
that.
like-
That was my fault, probably.
that's a whole different thing.
There's a whole spin-off story.
Well, I mean, you touched on like your dad, right? Like your dad's demeanor, the way he handled things. Like, a lot of times when you see athletes that make it a long way, it's like, oh, there was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Or now I feel like you're seeing more of those feature stories, like on major league players, big NFL players. Like, dad was just really supportive. He was hard on me, but he worked every day, But you used to hear all those stories like my dad was a fucking psychopath. And basically that's why I had to be good. Like, where'd your dad fall in like the dad spectrum?
No, blue collar worker. Worked probably 45 minutes away.
That's old school commute right there.
Yeah, legit. Millwright union, very, very niched union. The plants closed down. It was good because when I was in college, I got to work there. I made a lot of money. It was pretty cool. But no, he would come home from work. It would be like clockwork. Gone at 5:30 in the morning, home at 4:30. After probably a terrible drive.
The routines that they could have in those days.
That's what it blows my mind. It does blow my mind that
now everything just feels like chaos.
it is. Well, and I think that was that generation, like the baby boomer generation.
Yeah.
We're not spending money, we're saving it.
Yeah, damn right they did.
You're working to retire.
We were all poor. Every one of us. We were poor.
Oh, yeah, why do I think like I was poorer than you?
I know.
I didn't have that.
I always felt.
But looking back, like I wasn't. But prioritizing different, money. So no, he coached me up until we'll say 12, 13. But
sounds like the right time to get out.
He would come home, do his thing, and then load up the car and we go to practice. Now, never said, let's get more hacks. Never said, hey, it's time to do this. Hey, it's time to do this. I would have to ask, which
so you were that quintessential 90s kid that was just like, can we play catch? Please, can we go outside?
Yeah. And looking back, I don't think I probably put enough effort in. And maybe that's skewed because of what I see kids go through now for whatever season they're in.
Yeah, it seems crazy now when you watch it. You're like, holy shit.
I do remember pitching a lot. I do remember hitting a lot, but it was never like, hey, let's go. We're going to hit. It would always be like, hey, let's hit some balls. Okay, we go and hit. But then that quickly wore out because the school we would hit at, after 3 balls off the houses across the street, we had to
so
stop.
You're saying you were too good.
That's
too
when
far.
that's when it really clicked, So that stopped, and you couldn't go to a batting cage down the street like you could now. That didn't exist.
Well, now it's like every kid has a fucking net in the front yard.
Yep.
And like I'm hanging shit in the garage for them. I'm like, what am I even doing here?
Right?
Like, what am I even doing?
But
nobody had this stuff before.
No. So for the
gotta
most
keep up. Everybody's
most part,
keep up.
he was. I don't think hands off is the right way to say it, but he didn't push like you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this.
Yeah.
Conversely, there weren't a lot of compliments.
So what was like let's say the transition post dad being coach? You're hitting whatever it's 13, 14. What's game day dad? Is game day dad like bleachers? You're gonna hear him every fucking at bat. Is he gonna be like you're not gonna say shit, but after the game, he's like,
Nope.
You missed that 1-2 pitch, or you could have spit on that one.
Yep. Probably not in the bleachers with everyone. A little down the line with other dads who were coaches, that weren't yellers. They'd sit there and take the game in. After, though, it'd be, what about this? What about that? I'm like, okay, I get it. And probably hardened me a little bit as I see the way I coach Brady. And someone told me, hey, just tell him good game, which is hard because I'm
advice,
like,
right?
I'm like,
let's got the advice
like
until you're in it and you're
let's
just
improve,
like, in the red.
Yeah.
Just like,
It'd be like, hey, 3 for 4, that's pretty good. But that one out, I'm like, okay.
Or you got picked off because you weren't paying.
Yeah,
no,
and I do, and I appreciate it. Looking back, like it makes you tougher, or your mental mindset, which probably set the tone for me as an adult, as a human, as a worker, that there's always something to be better at, or whatever you're doing, be the best at it at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I guess I'll throw this in, not to glaze over it, but I had a terrible attitude as a player.
Just a shit attitude. Full on from like 10 to like 16 or like.
Yes, not mean towards you, the opponent, but not. I don't want to call it a sore loser, but I kind of had an affinity for throwing a bat.
You were not taking it lightly.
Throwing a glove.
I'd like to say like, yeah, you were passionate about winning, but really,
yeah,
you're a little bit of an asshole when it comes to that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Smashing something.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
car ride homes would either be.
It'd be more about your fucking attitude than it would be your gameplay.
Yeah, it'd be like I'm in the back seat and no one's talking to me for the rest of the night. It was like silent treatment often.
You get that now. As a coach, you get, except you're driving.
I should be.
Nobody talks to you.
I should be okay with it. Talking to a whole team, they're looking at you, but no one's really looking. I'm like, you know what?
You get to drive home with quiet people.
This is what karma is, right? So, yeah, no, I could have been a better attitude. I think I could have been.
Did you figure it out eventually? Like at what, like when you got to, let's say, end of high school or going into college?
Yeah. So I didn't do it as much in high school, only because coaches were back to being hardcore coaches.
Yeah.
You know, not be like
So
football.
we don't care how fucking good you
Right.
are. You're not gonna act like
you
that.
act like that, you're gone. But then I equated it to maybe I'm not caring enough. Am I not passionate enough anymore because I don't want to smash this bat if I strike out?
It's interesting. So your head went there. Did you consciously remember going there in your head, like at that age?
Yeah. You know,
like I was
up and
not
down, I'm like, maybe
mentally
I just don't
advanced
care
enough.
anymore. Maybe I just don't care anymore, you know? But
It's an interesting route for like that age to like have that thought, you know?
I think it was probably hard initially because I do remember playing and winning a lot. So we didn't lose. So I remember when we first were losing, it took me a while to learn how to do that,
But that was
with
messed up,
poise.
huh?
It was, you know, and I'm like, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, geez, this, like, pull it together. Like, people lose every game. But,
It's a slow burn
was-
getting you there, though.
yeah, I think I just had to grow up mentally a little bit.
Like, what point did you kind of know or think, or like, were you like, was there scouts coming to games? Were you getting letters from like universities? Like, I'm not trying to blow it out to be like, oh yeah, you're like a top 10 recruit in the country, but like, you had interest in you to play for someone, you know, whether that be D1, D2, D3, whatever it was, you know, like just that's an accomplishment in itself. to
Yeah.
me.
And I think it's funny you say that because someone else said it to me not that long ago. We were at a party, and he's like, I don't know, comes up like, you know, my wife Jill laughed about this. She's like, oh, you love talking about yourself. I'm like, I don't think I do.
I mean, I did ask you to come on a podcast so.
To talk about my, I said
talk about
that's
yourself.
just
I'm
stick,
an
right?
enabler. I mean,
So I'm like, I don't think I do. So when we go places and we don't know anybody or whatever, and I'm sitting down or, you know, trying to find common ground, this guy sits down. He's like, hey, you know, so and so, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you. He's like, what do you do? I'm like I never lead with that. I'm like, okay, here's what I do. Oh, okay, where'd you go to college? I'm like, what? I'm like,
where
come
we
on,
going here,
man.
dude? What am I on a fucking podcast?
Yeah,
What are we
I'm like,
doing
come
here?
on. So I'm like, it's a school, you wouldn't have heard of it. Maybe, try me. He's like, well, I went to, you know, so and so. That's where I went.
Oh, he's a Wesleyan guy.
Yeah. So we got into it. He's like, did you play sports? I'm like, yeah, it was. I played baseball. It wasn't a big deal. He's like, what did you say? I'm like, this guy like wants to like.
What did you say?
Yeah, the guy wants to throw down right now. I'm like, I said, no big deal. He's like, I'm gonna stop you there. It is a big deal. I'm like, are you talking to me? Like, am I getting like something going on?
This
He's
guy
like,
about to fire me up right now?
yeah. He's like, do you know how many kids make it from high school to any collegiate? I said, no. I said, I know it's not high. He's like,
Not
you're
great.
right.
It's not great.
He's like, you're right. So never. I'm like, okay, relax, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, relax. So to go back to your question, you know, you're coming up, you have success. Everyone thinks they're going to be a D1
Yeah, I'm a fucking stud.
SEC.
yeah.
You know, I'm gonna change the game.
Vanderbilt. You're gonna be.
The cool thing being, I went to JCA, and we had a couple high level
That's
recruits.
Joliet Catholic Academy.
Joliet
for
Catholic
those of you
Academy,
who, if
yeah.
for some reason you're listening to this and you are not anywhere
Yeah.
near the Chicagoland area,
Catholic high baseball, you know, football program,
Rudy,
baseball revered. Yeah.
Rudy,
Oh yeah.
for the national spotlight.
So a couple of the guys were heavily recruited. One of them being the coach's son, who ended up he had a full ride to Mississippi State to play shortstop.
Damn.
Which is kind of a big deal.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, he forewent that because he was drafted in the
right. Yeah. Whatever.
8th round by Boston, which cool, right? So naturally there's a lot of scouts always. And I remember,
just like you talked about with Szymanski, right?
You
kind
of, I guess take advantage of your situation, right? And I remember thinking, like, what can I do to turn heads? But it was interesting because the minute he was done doing whatever he was doing, they were done. They didn't care, but there were still college coaches coming around because of the exposure, and they're like, well, if that kid's that good, there's going to be somebody else.
Yeah, yeah.
Couple other kids, Szymanski recruited by Florida State. Another guy, Kevin Cameron, recruited by Georgia Tech. And I'm like, here we go.
Those are some big schools.
So now we're playing other local teams that have big name talent too, right? And they're getting recruited. I'm like, it's got to be a piece of pie for me. And
you got a niche somewhere?
There really wasn't. I went for a while with high school success. I'm like, man, maybe I just don't, whatever. Maybe it's not going to happen. So full circle back to Gordy Gillespie, who I talked about, who was royalty. He's like, hey, I know a coach at this college. I'll vouch for you. You can play there. Like, that's how it works. He's like, I'll make a call.
That's it.
That's how much clout he had. So
that's it.
At that time, there was maybe a few games left in the season, and we're playing Joliet Central, and their pitcher, shortstop, all-star is Brandon Singh, who I grew up playing with.
So Brittany, his younger sister, and I graduated together. We were buds, so I kind of followed his journey through the minor leagues, and he had some big years in the minors too, like the Double-A Smokies, I think.
He did.
He used to go to their house sometimes. They have like Sammy Sosa's spike hanging on the wall. Like I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Brandon was always a super nice guy. But yeah, I mean, I believe he got like mono or something in the middle of one of his years, and it like really derailed him. He ended up going to Baltimore, I think, at some point, but it just never fully came. That's the minor leagues, though, right? I mean,
yeah, he had like health, bad luck.
Yep,
it was cool. He made it though, but
hell yeah,
that game,
big power hitter, right?
That game, and he threw, 1,000,000 miles an hour, gun.
Yeah.
So he was still pitching, and we were playing him, and a couple of scouts, colleges there, and they were ranked way up higher than us. Like our team was probably one of the worst teams ever to come out of JCA at the time. I remember he's pitching, and I'm like, I think first pitch, 350 down the line, home run. I'm like, this, he ain't shit. I got him. Yeah. Next at bat, like ripped double to the gap. Like I robbed some play or whatever, threw some, like I had the game of my life. And I remember it was Illinois Wesleyan's coach was there, where I ended up going, and he's like, I got a spot for you. I got a spot. I'm like, I don't know nothing about the school. I don't know.
All I know is it's close to ISU, right?
Right. That's all I know. It's a little bit south, whatever.
I went there my senior year to watch Pat Spangler, I think, play football.
Okay.
I think he was a fullback.
Yeah, he was.
Like
2002,
2003-ish.
Yep.
Something around there. Yep.
So he's like, I got a spot for you. Come visit so he can give you the show around. Right before that, the varsity coach is like, hey, I can get you a preferred walk-on at Purdue.
What the hell does that mean?
So anybody,
like somebody vouched for you, but you're
kind
still a
of
walk-on?
coach calls ahead, calls the coach saying, I know you're not recruiting this guy and there's no scholarships. However, I put a star by his name and vouch for him. He's going to be better than most of your people. Take an extra look at him.
Mm-hmm.
No guarantees, nothing. So I was going to Purdue, signed up, passed the entrance, did all this stuff because I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to be an architectural engineer.
That'd be the place to do it.
Yeah, so
Boilermakers, get it done over
right.
there.
I'm like, that's what I'm doing. I said I'm going to be an engineer, architectural engineer. I'm going to play Division I baseball.
Fucking George Costanza,
right?
Over here.
That's
I like that.
Pretty daunting task. So that was the thing, and then we were somewhere on the way home. They're like, hey, Wesleyan's right there. Let's stop in, see the coach, and he's like, I got a spot for you. I have a first baseman though. So
which is crazy.
I'm just telling you, kid,
It's crazy.
You will play.
I want you
in
just so you know.
in a year or two.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
and that's like, okay, that makes sense. You know, you put your time in, you earn it.
Just so you know, I got Albert Pujols here. So.
Just so you know, he's breaking records as
you
we
might,
speak.
You might play.
Yeah. So,
which is one, you know, like I talked about the reason to do a podcast like this and bring on somebody that I know, you know, to talk is interesting because I do know some things about you and like we've had stories, I know some background, but like this is such a deeper dive into it, like because one of the things that sparked that I know we've talked about in the past about this is that first baseman that was ahead of you, and I feel like you told me a story at some point about you just played your way into that spot.
Yeah.
You know, which is crazy, you know.
I mean, it's you go to college, you know, being told by the head coach that you're not gonna play. So how do you take it? What do you do? What does a 18-year-old kid do that really doesn't know what he's going to do with his life anyway with that? Hey, welcome to a new universe. The game you want to play, you will eventually, but not yet.
So right there, you bought it right there when he's like, "Hey, I got a first baseman, but I want you."
I somehow
You're like, "Fuck this Purdue thing."
Yeah, I fell in love with the campus, everything it had to offer. I was probably pushed by my parents a little bit. Both Purdue's a fantastic school, right? Like,
obviously,
had I been an architectural engineer, I'm sure my life would have went in a different path than it did. But I'm like, I love this place. I want to be here. He's like, okay, I got to get your transcripts, blah, 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 blah. So they give you the bullet points. I'm like, it says you need a 32 on your ACT, okay. Which is pretty good.
Like, I'm out of here.
Well, I was like, hey, about that 32.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, he's like, and mind you, registration's closed. This is like the 11th hour.
Yeah, you're okay.
Registration's closed. Hey, give me your ACT that's got at least a 32. I'll pencil whip it through transcripts, blah, 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 blah. I'm like,
about that.
I said, I don't have a 32. He's like, don't worry about it. I'm like, oh.
Tell him I ain't got it.
Now I'm starting to see how the real world works, right?
Oh, okay.
Don't
right.
See that? Don't worry about that.
But like it wasn't like a 21.
No. Yeah. It wasn't like I had a 16.
Right.
Just don't worry about. I'm like
I was trying to be a fucking engineer. I mean, I'm not stupid.
The math was high. Okay, yeah. I had the high math. I had whatever it was that had to get me.
I'm not dumb at this point.
So that was that. I'm like, all right, I'm going to Wesleyan. Cool, right? And so I go. It was fantastic. I loved it. It was my first kind of experience. You're on your own.
Yeah.
You know, and like
weird days.
You know, and looking back, like talking to the kids or like the kids' friends or like, oh, so and so at school doesn't have friends, or you know, they're getting bullied a little bit. And I'm like, man, hold on, kid, because once you get out of this,
God, your life's
there's a
change.
whole other life that this is so inconsequential. Mm-hmm. But that being said, you know, you go from going to school Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. to, hey, it's Tuesday in September. You have one class at 9.
Yeah.
And then you're done. I'm like, this is pretty cool.
There's 10-cent Miller Genuine drafts going on.
It's fantastic.
Tuesday.
And I'll since this is the record, right? I'll go on the record and say I did not drink.
What?
Until I got to college.
Good for you, buddy. I mean, I was a hooligan.
Right?
I was a hooligan at just the area makes you.
Right.
They make you as such.
But then, like you're saying,
you can't not do it. But yeah, college, wild. Wild.
You're there. It's like
the opportunities are so stupid.
Yeah. What time's bed? Whenever you want it to be.
I don't know. Yeah. I knew guys that didn't go to school or like, you know, chose not to, didn't want to, didn't think they were smart enough to, or they had really good jobs out of high school and they were like, this is what I want to do. I want to work on cars, whatever it was. Yeah. And they got a head start and they had apartments and houses while I'm still visiting my mom when I come home in the summers. But holy shit, when they came out to visit me, boy, did they have a good time. They're like, just Wednesday? We just have quarter drafts tonight?
Doesn't matter. It's just a day.
As many as you want, 25 cents all night.
Like who's
sure. Yeah, you want to do that? It's open till 4.
Right. Do we have to? No.
Yeah.
Keep going, kid.
Made some good decisions, made some bad decisions, but
learned a lot.
But learned a
lot.
Shit ton. Yeah.
Right. So I get there, and it's I knew one kid that I played against. So they put all the athletes like on floors together.
Yeah.
Because you're there early. You had to report early for like spring training, we'll call it, like fall ball, glorified fall ball, of which I'm not going to play, right? Like, don't worry, kid, we got a first base. I'm like, okay, well.
He's got it under control.
And I'm like, you know what?
He's left-handed, too. I bet.
He's really big, strong.
Big left-handed motherfucker.
I'm 6'2", 180 pounds.
You're a big dude. I mean, you're still a big dude by normal standards, but if you're talking about elite athlete,
skinny rail,
right? If you're talking about against another elite athlete,
against
it's like
a man, he's like a junior man, And here I am coming out of Joliet, which does have a lot of street cred, but
we got some street cred.
That being said,
good water here. Yeah.
Drink the water. That's what I'm saying. Don't get any osmosis. Drink the water. Mm-hmm. You get the reports. It's fine. Mm-hmm. It turned out okay for us.
For the mustache comes in. You're too young. Yeah, but I mean that whole situation though, like you said, you weren't. That's something I did not know about you. You were not drinking at all until you got to college. So what was like freshman year like? Were you like a baseball player going to school, or did you feel like you were a student and you were just kind of like, I was playing baseball still, but it wasn't like,
it was hard. So, and like I'll tell everybody, you go and you don't realize it until you get there. College is time, man. It teaches you how to manage your time, and I didn't know how to do that at first. So, you're lifting, working out, playing baseball, going to school. I'm like, this is easy, like no brainer. So I'm like, these classes are kind of hard. I don't really know what's going on, but I'll limp through.
I'll figure it out.
Meanwhile, trying to beat this jock of a man out of a position, right?
Did you have that mentality going in, like I'm going to beat him out of the position, or like were you guys buddies? Did he look at you like you're not going to touch the field until I'm done, like until I say?
It's sad to say I couldn't even tell you his name.
Really?
That's how much.
So you guys never
I thought of him.
You guys never like. He didn't mentor you at all, and fucking
no.
It was just like
I'm thinking
this little bitch is coming for my job, and I got 2 more years left. I'm
deep down inside, I don't even care who he is.
Okay,
that's my spot.
You had the assassination mentality. All right,
which
I can believe it from you. It's really hard when I hear stories like that because myself, I'm such like a non-confrontational pussy. It's just like I have the hardest time putting because you always centralize everything everybody tells you. You put yourself in their shoes immediately. Like that's how my brain works. Maybe it's just me. Every time somebody says anything, tells me a story, like I'm immediately putting myself like, would I have done it that way? Like,
right.
And to me, I'm like, I probably would have like tried to be friends with the guy. And you're like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking eat this guy. I'm gonna eat this guy for lunch.
Right. Well, and that's you're starting over, right? So I mean, yeah, you're an 18-year-old freshman. Yeah, like by physical standards, you are a man, but we're talking like we got 21 and 22-year-olds you're playing with. They're like are really men, like getting ready to go into the real world. So
yeah.
I remember having like success in, we'll call it fall ball, and like turning heads a little bit. But then I also remember getting my report card.
Like your actual academic report
Yeah,
card.
like so you'd get, your semester report card or whatever it was, quarter one. And like, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm doing okay. I'm not excelling, but and like opening up and being like, oh shit, this is not good. Immediately followed up by a call.
Like,
from
did
my
you
parents.
have an immediate? Yeah, did you have an immediate like, oh my god, mom's gonna fucking kill me?
Yes, and I'll never forget it. Sitting in my dorm room, like with some calculus book open, like struggling to finish it. Report due, like I'm not a good writer, trying to write these political science papers and
You're
failing.
A math guy. Let me interrupt you right
there.
Here we go.
Hey,
I've been interrupting you from drinking your beer. No. So, there it is. I guess I might as well give a head nod. The first beer I took down was the new Through the Uprights from Hot Butcher. I think they just put it out for football season. So,
and
shout out to my boys Jude and Jeremiah and Justin out there at Hot Butcher. Delicious.
Give me some. Would I like it?
Man, it's hazy. You'd have been like, eh. You and hazy IPAs don't go together.
It's a hit or miss.
And yeah, sometimes they hit for you. This is from Michigan. Seeds is a highly touted lager brewery. they really specialize in like really crispy, old school, like German kind of stick to the right styles. But man, they make a good clear beer.
I'm
Sticking with the classic anti-hero here.
says inspired. I'm inspired to try it maybe
I'm
later.
telling you, it's quite good. It's quite good. Everything they do, dude's crazy. The property they're on is amazing. Everybody loves them.
Whereabouts?
Seeds in Michigan. I don't know. It's up like at the St. Joseph area. It's like Union Pier or something, I think is the actual name of the town.
That little coastal area right
It's
there.
little. Yeah, it's little. It's probably on the can here. Anyway, sorry. I jumped right across your story so I could crack that beer.
I like the segue though.
So you were
Old
eyeing
habits die hard.
you were eyeing up old boy like I don't even fucking need to learn your name.
Yeah, I'm like whatever. And you're there trying to find your way or make a name for yourself. But then that report card, semester report comes, and it was Barry. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Pretty good."
So wait, immediate phone call. Like,
yeah, it's pretty quick.
Like put it online? No, they didn't have. Was it online then?
No, snail mail.
It was just
snail mail.
They just got a copy of your report card.
Which I don't.
I forgot about that shit.
I mean, you're 18.
No,
you're
that shit happened.
You're an adult.
Yeah, that shit happened.
I mean, I don't know if now they send them home. That's on you, right? You're an adult.
I bet not. Yeah, I bet the kids can hide them now. I would think. I mean, it's probably online. But if your parents are like, "Oh, I had them add my account or something," they could probably pull that off. Who knows? I don't know.
Well, they got it.
Anyways, we're talking about 2000, 2001?
No, this is
99?
This would be 99.
99?
Yeah. So, hey, how's it going? Yeah, good.
Hey, Bear.
What's the problem? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, do you want to come home? I said, no. He's like, well, judging by this report card I'm handing,
Yeah, I've been a little homesick.
you're going to come home. He's like, do you want to come home and work on the streets? What? He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. It's hard. And it was like, all right, well, we'll see you for Thanksgiving. Figure it out.
Dude.
I'm like,
That's fucking good.
like
Pretty good. Like almost like an ultimatum, but like way more badass.
well, and it was because I'm like,
figure it out.
figure it out. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think I will.
Well, to wrap that one up, I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out. I dropped whatever that was, different direction, turn it around, figure out how to manage time. Now I'm making regular grades. They're okay with it. So
Regular grades.
it's time for spring ball.
That's a sliding scale.
Yeah.
What's regular grade?
Yeah, right. Just tread. We're
B's.
doing more than treading water
Like
now.
homie was hitting the A every now and again, but
Yeah,
but not
we
always.
weren't Dean's List yet.
Okay.
But we were trending
We're
in the right
fast approaching.
we're
Fast
trending in the right direction. So
Didn't even learn the dean's name either. I bet you're like, fuck that guy.
No,
I'm
dude.
I'm gonna be on his list.
only cared about that ball. Wasn't. But and that's a good lesson for kids too, right? Like, and I tell Brady, I'm like, listen, you gotta make the grade if you want to play sports. It's that simple. It's that simple.
Yeah.
So, winter trainings, blah 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 blah. Go whatever, which are great, and you could look great in a cage until you're
Still
up against
a
real
freshman.
pitching. Yeah,
Still a freshman. Still just kind of barely jumped on this team.
Yep.
Like,
So we go on spring trip, and it's like starters aren't really named yet, but they're starting to kind of trend in that direction. Well, I go off. I go off completely. A brick wall on the field. Probably hitting like 400 or 500 something.
you're just fucking like your Gold Glove defense.
It is. It's
hitting
like
four plus.
watch out, and they're
When
like,
people cared about batting averages.
they did. Yeah. No, there was
That
no
was-
launch angles,
Jesus
which
Christ. What a world.
remind me about
What a
launch
world.
angles if I forget to tell it towards the end of this college
Nate,
story.
we're not even a quarter of the way through. Like, I didn't even bring you on this podcast to talk about baseball, but here we are, fucking probably an hour into baseball.
I told you,
so
it could be a long-winded story.
And I
I'll
also
get-
told you, wherever we go, we go.
We go.
That's what we do.
We go. Well,
so this is where we're at. Let's live in the moment.
we're going. We're
Yeah.
we're 19.
So your spring, you just light it up.
Lighten
Just
it up.
fucking light it up. And this guy is like watching, like,
Yeah. Okay.
skinny
well,
guy's pretty good.
Yeah. He's got some.
Yeah,
quick,
but he's right-handed. He can't
got
play
some quick
defense at
hands,
first.
he's got a
Can't
good
play
eye.
defense at first. He's
It's-
right-handed.
It's it's clicking,
Can't
right?
stretch right.
Yeah. I was limber, much more limber back then. And he's like, "All right, well, you're going to be the starting first baseman." And I'm like,
Oh, so you got the news like
"Hell yes."
you got the news like but ahead of the season.
Yeah,
Like,
before we come home, I'm like, you can't. He's like, you're going to be this, and like.
what the hell did the backup guy do? Well, the now backup guy.
Forgettable. Don't remember.
Was he pissed? Like, was he?
Don't even remember.
Did he just like, I'm leaving?
Should probably look him up and reach
Transfer
out.
portal? Didn't have a transfer portal.
Did not
then, huh?
exist.
It wasn't a thing.
So the interesting thing is, and unfortunately now you're a freshman starting. You're automatically accepted by the senior guys. You know, you're one of them.
It's respect. Like,
It is
damn.
like you're on a team now. Now they're like, hey, here's what we're doing. Meet us here. I'm like, oh, that like kind of opens up a lot of doors as someone that's new to an area where you don't know a lot of stuff. So
You're like, yeah, my dad wants to bring me home. My grades aren't that.
yeah,
good.
he doesn't want to bring me home. He says I'm coming home if I
can't-
don't ship
I can't
up.
go to the strip club tonight.
Can't do it. Sorry, because I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go home and work in
Yeah.
the plant, which is
Yeah.
good living.
Yeah.
But so
Nothing wrong with them boys out there.
No.
Respect.
it clicks. It works out. In addition to that, which was really cool, is that the school was building a brand new baseball stadium.
Oh, that's
And
crazy.
I would call it, to give it a visual, I don't know if you can, when you clip these things out.
Close your eyes, everyone. I'll throw a fucking
yeah.
picture of it on
Close your eyes.
there.
And
If I don't, that's just showing you. I'm running this show. All right.
This is-
I chose not to put that
I'm
picture
not
in
putting
there.
that in. But you know,
Chose not to add that.
the new Busch Stadium. Have you been there?
Yeah.
So, you know-
we didn't go for a game, but we went
Okay.
to St. Louis a couple years back, and we
So-
because you know how
Like
you can be on the
Cincinnati
street
almost.
and you can kind
you
of
walk
see
in
into
and you
it.
sink down into the
Right,
stadium
right.
seating. That's
Been to Cincinnati.
that's
Cincinnati
how
for a game.
That's how this field is being built.
Oh,
Kind
sick.
of really nice place.
Whoa, yeah.
Called Jack Hornberger Field. Jack Hornberger was a longtime coach at Wesleyan. You know, donated some money and in homage to him. It was Jack Hornberger Field. I would say the biggest crowning achievement for me was it's. I don't know. What do you break a field in? Do you christen it? I don't know what you do.
What do you
It's
do
maiden.
on it?
It's maiden voyage game.
Yeah, like what? Like you don't break a champagne bottle on
No.
it. What do you do?
Ceremonial first pitch.
God, that's
Maybe.
smart.
Right.
God, that's smart.
Right.
I did not get there. My brain did not.
I
get
think
there.
by Jack Hornberger himself.
Well done, sir.
Senior.
Well done.
Hornberger.
Yeah.
So everyone's there, you know.
Jack could still get it done.
He
You
did.
know he can still get it.
He
done.
did. He whipped it right in there.
Jack, fuck you up right here.
He
on
would.
the spot.
God rest his soul.
Don't even need to stretch.
God rest his soul.
God rest his soul.
His dead soul would rip you up.
Yeah. Just the
all
thought of it.
around humanitarian, you know.
All right. Anywho, so the stadium is being
stadium.
built.
You know, it's opening home series against whoever, and you know it's packed and it's exciting and all that. And I think I'm batting fifth, and I want to. My memory's not that good. First or second pitch,
You're fucking
dead
this
bomb,
story up.
dead bomb, right center.
Well, you're leaving the yard, right
Yes.
center,
Yep.
right center.
Inaugural game.
Woo! A little Apo Taco.
Top. Well, that's where all my power was right center.
Really? So that's got to be a feather.
A
in your
drive.
cap, though.
And that. Yeah.
But I
right.
feel like we've talked about your college days. I feel like you said you didn't hit a lot of home runs.
No. And that was the funny thing to bring that back
time
to
to
the
do that.
launch angle thing. So that was my crowning achievement. First home run ever. Pretty cool. Whatever. No,
They have
no,
that
no,
somewhere? They have
no,
that?
no.
That's got to be somewhere.
Yeah.
I should be able to Google that.
Someone went down there for
What's that stadium called? I don't know. Google
Yeah,
that shit.
Hornberger. Yeah, good luck.
How you spell Hornberger?
Horen, Horen Burger,
Oh, yeah.
BER.
Got it. Bloomington, Illinois, Hornberger Field. There he goes. You keep talking. I'm talking. You talk. I produce.
So
Beautiful field, by the way.
gorgeous. I think it's full turf now. It was not back then.
Check it out. Look at how advanced we are.
That's
Look at
pretty
that.
good.
Look at how advanced we are. We
That's
can
it.
actually put this picture up right
Yep.
here while we're doing this.
Yep.
So tell me about it.
So
what was that moment like?
it was awesome because like you brought up, I went from always hitting home runs to not being a real home run hitter anymore. Gappers, line drives, that was it. So fairly successful freshman year. Win top newcomer or best new athlete, whatever they call it at the time. You know, you got some weird little plaque they gave you, which was still a thing for all the youth that are going to turn in.
The Utes.
you got a Letterman's jacket. Every athlete across campus.
Sorry, dude. There's nothing on here that says Nate Kren hits bomb to fucking right center.
It should.
Right?
I'm
sure it's on here
somewhere. Can we Wikipedia this thing
I'm
and
sure
add it?
it's on here somewhere, but I'm not gonna.
Do you
I'm
have
not
the ability to embed that somehow in the programming?
Well, if I find it, you bet your ass it'll be in here.
Yeah, just a blip. Good success. Top newcomer. Have that first home run, which is cool. Come time to train for next year. Coach, as blatantly as I could say, I need you to hit more home runs. I'm like, okay.
What was your first reaction to that?
I'm like, what?
Like, how?
Yeah, what?
No, I've been trying that.
Yeah, like I would love to.
I actually been trying that.
But, okay, let's work on it.
Did he come to you with that, like, this is a need for me, or was he like, this is a need for me, I think if you do this, this, and this, you will hit more home runs? Or like the hitting coach follow up with you the next day? Like,
nope. It was, I need you to hit more home runs.
Just got to want it.
In his head, first baseman's hit home runs.
No, that's fair. That's fair. That's a fair assessment by him.
Yeah, sure.
That's corner infield or corner infield.
RBI baseball.
That's what you do.
Old school classic. Sure, the first baseman hits a home run. Well, so I tried to hit more home runs by just purely swinging harder and
I'm kind of bummed out that you weren't trying harder.
I tried my damnedest, and my average went straight into the crapper.
Really?
Yeah.
This is sophomore year.
Yep.
Sophomore year, just
yep.
Like this boy was Tony Gwynn last year.
And
now
he's what's his name?
He's fucking what's the Mendoza line?
Yeah, way below the Mendoza. Way below. Terrible year. Terrible year on the bench. Now with
baseball's a fucking bitch, isn't it?
It is.
Holy shit, is that game a bitch?
It is.
Like and even now, but like in the when we were kids growing up watching it, like to see the fluctuation, and it's a wonder people don't appreciate people more now that can consistently, whatever it is, that guy that hits 25 and 90 every year, 25 and 100 every year. It's so hard. Like these guys, like in the 2000s through, hitting 300, 310, 335. These guys that could hit that, like, you didn't appreciate it. And now you look and you're like, fucking best hitter in baseball. Yeah, he's hitting 210.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, but he's got 60, he's got 40 jacks
got an
and
awesome
135,
Exit velos off the charts.
Yeah, walks a lot.
That's the thing though now, right? I mean, it's crazy. But I find myself on the bench with a bad attitude.
Yeah, that shit attitude crop back up.
Yeah. Just yeah. The woe is me, I'm the martyr. Like terrible attitude. In hindsight, terrible attitude.
Also, terrible batting average.
Terrible average, terrible attitude. Terrible haircut that year turns into great haircut. Grow your hair out, kid.
What?
It's time to let it flow.
You had some lettuce? What are you talking
some real
about?
lettuce.
That's the production I need. I need that picture. I need that picture to be up here.
So Brady said
Brady Googled your ass?
They were Googling dads. And he said, I found your picture.
Yes, that's great.
From baseball. So
you type in Nathaniel Kren.
It was you couldn't find it under Nathan Kren, but then when you went to Nate
For some
Kren,
reason it came under Dirk Diggler or like
Nate Kren Alpha.
Yeah, it said Big Dick Daddy. You just type in Big Dick Daddy Kren, and all of a sudden,
a lot of BDE for sure. Jesus. So turn that into fuel.
Shitty sophomore year.
Yeah, turn that into fuel. So
you ate the shit.
I did. I did. I said I don't even need to practice. Protein, I don't want to practice. Squats. I don't need to work in the off season. What I am going to do is play softball and lift.
What?
Yeah.
Kurt Stewart method.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Shout out Kurt Stewart.
Got back into baseball after a while, but hit the weights for me. So I probably came back 10 pounds, heavy, full of muscle, which now I'm a $190. Still a paperweight by all means, but turn in a good spring again, back in the lineup, good attitude. However, Nate Kren is starting to really look at big picture stuff. Like maybe it's not all about. I'm back, baby. I'm back.
Okay.
However,
you're feeling yourself.
You ain't gonna talk to me like that again,
bit.
right?
Okay.
I've sophomore slump they called it. Now I'm back.
Yeah. Shit's about to change around.
Don't
here.
talk to me like that. I'm back, kind of attitude.
I'm not
So-
going to call him dad.
Nope,
Not
never.
even if there's a fire.
Not never. And if he puts his liver spotted hands
Yeah.
on my mom,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So, bad attitude. I'm back. This is borderline like pre-teen attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Just went back to your roots.
don't care, right? It is what it is.
That's great.
So, really start getting back into guitar because I'm like,
we're just finding out there was a guitar.
yeah.
We're just finding out.
We,
All
we
right,
can, we
all
can
right.
talk about that too, but
Venture down that path. Too.
so, doing well, having a good season. I would say kind
We're
of
better.
zen,
We're better
zenish, like Tim Lincecum growing my hair out.
Barry
of
Zito?
Zen. Yes,
Barry Zito.
better.
He was the guy.
And guitar,
and Zen and hair.
lefty though.
Dude, fucking
Good
curveball
dice.
was
Good
gross.
dice. Good
Curveball
dice.
was gross.
But we're back at attitude. Like I'll hit Barry Zito too. I'll hit Barry Zito.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's the year, and I might get these stories messed up, but that's the year our coach schedules us against U of I. So Division III going against Division I. U of I, not a powerhouse, however, a big time program.
Yeah. Aside from the people that I love that went there, fuck that school. I don't care about that
Yeah.
school. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, right.
No. Some great people that have gone there.
Good engineering school.
Great program. Smart.
Wasn't smart enough to get
school.
into it.
But school can suck. That school can suck it. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
So, and the fact checkers, probably my parents have listened to this, will tell me I'm wrong, but
I have Google, but that's about it. I'd call Barry.
good. You said, show me that report card.
Yeah.
We're playing U of I, and they're allegedly throwing their number one. And I'm like, I could be here too, you know. First pitch, just rip her up the middle,
Just like hit it back where it came from.
almost right over his head.
A coach's wet dream.
Yeah,
Like somewhere a hitting coach was coming in his pants when he
Yes.
saw that. It was just like, that's right. Take it right back where it was
right.
pitched.
That's it. Smoked. Right-handed
best.
pitcher.
The best.
Good crafty pitcher. I'm like, Division III. I'm like, you guys got nothing on me, you know.
Where's my scholarship?
Yeah, right. So, right-handed pitcher. I'm like, dude, I should be here. Lead off, first base.
You're hitting lead off?
No.
Oh,
leading off first base after my missile
like,
up the
you're
middle.
hitting
Yeah,
leadoff?
yeah.
Sorry.
was real-
My bad.
I was
I'm not
real
good at
fast
following
that year.
stories.
I got a speed trainer.
Sometimes
No.
I'm not good at following stories. Like I thought I was locked in. I fucked up. Go ahead.
Guy picks me off. Best
Stop.
best right-handed
Right-handed?
pickoff move I've
Damn,
ever
dude.
seen.
I'm embarrassed.
But
of
I
you
do the
right
Willie
now.
Mays Hayes. I dive back and don't even make it to first
Oh shit.
and knock the wind out of myself.
Oh shit.
And like I can barely get up. Coach is yelling and screaming at me. That was our only hit of the game.
Fucking
We
Bush
lost.
League.
We lost.
Oh,
eight-
you're
we lost
shitting
eight.
me.
We lost 18-0.
You're shitting me. The only hit of the game. Wow.
But so having some success again, right? Growing the hair out, feeling groovy, being a cool dude, playing a guitar. Have like an apartment style place we're living in. Life's great.
Just ladies
On the
everywhere.
dean's list.
On the dean's
On the
list, dude?
dean's list.
Jesus Christ. Rolls Royce in the driveway. What are we
fantastic.
doing out
That was
there?
It's a two-door
Wesleyan doing it.
Cavalier,
Hell
but
yeah.
it got
Same
it
shit.
got, it got
That's the
done what I
same
had
shit,
to.
dude.
So
Is that
At the time-
six disc changer in there? Or?
and maybe we call this karma.
All right.
There's a new up and coming player,
Oh,
freshman,
stop. Yeah, that guy.
man-child,
All right.
pitcher, sometimes plays first base. Coach loves him. Doesn't like me anymore for whatever reason, probably because I had a terrible attitude.
He's like,
I
I
can
personally
see it.
recruited this kid.
Yeah, this kid's there. He's got 5-tool player. He's huge.
Yeah.
He's got gorilla arms.
Been
He's
banging
strong
his
as an
mom
ox.
for a
Yeah.
while, so
She put the time in. Okay. She. So, I get it. He's trying to develop him too, right? Because I'm gone. He's gonna need it. Whatever. We were at. I want to say we were at Aurora playing, and parents come up. Nice day. Like 3 for 4, first doubleheader. Drop a bomb, right center bomb. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing it again. I'm
Okay.
seeing it again. Next to bat, he's like, Kren. I'm like, yeah, you're on the bench.
oh shit. Okay. Like I'm having a fucking day
Steve,
here, coach.
Steve, you're hitting.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Oh, you learned Steve's name, huh?
Steve's the new guy,
Steve's name.
taking my
You
spot.
Learned his name.
Yeah. Steve's gonna
He
hit.
was
I'm
a
like,
threat.
I said, what? He's like, yeah, you're on the bench. I'm like, you're kidding me?
Like you saw the home run in the
I was like,
3 for 4.
are we not watching the same game?
No,
Like,
no.
you're on the
Just
bench.
trying to get him some playing time. What
So
are we doing here?
In the dugout, 11-year-old Nate Kren
Fucking
probably
tirade.
throws a couple things. You know, we're talking like one for the TVs.
Yeah, buddy.
Mother effing everything up and down. Pitching coach, who I always liked, came over, and he's like, I'm with you, man. I don't know why. I don't know what. He's like, but try to bite it.
Yeah.
He's
Eat your
like,
feelings,
I get it. He's like, I would be doing the same thing, probably worse. I don't know what's going on. All I can say is just swallow it and let me work on it. I'm like, you got it. I respect you. I didn't like the coach at the time.
Respect him right now.
Yeah, and that was the
I'm
beginning
gonna
of the
be
end for
real
me.
clear here.
That was the beginning
Not
of the end for
respecting
me.
this guy right now.
That was the beginning of the end, like mentally, and then physically, because it was weird. Like something happened after that. I'm like, I just can't see the ball anymore.
Really
I'm not picking it up. I'm like, that's it. Like,
interesting. That simple. That much of a recollection of the
Yep.
moment.
Yeah, I'm
that,
like the light went off. I said that light, that whatever. I said it's gone. I'm like, you know what? It was a good run, I guess, but we'll finish
the
it
fact
out.
that you could come to grips with it that quickly.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I didn't say I was quitting baseball. I'm like, this
Right,
is something happened. Something's wrong, and I think shortly thereafter, I'm like, this will be my last year. I'm done. I don't have it. I do like a challenge against going a coach I don't like, but I can't play the game anymore. It's not working for me. So it was a great year. We ended up going to the College World Series that year, of which I'm splitting time now, not playing consistently, not hitting well, not seeing the ball. And I remember we went to Appleton, Wisconsin for the Division III College World Series, which was very cool. Tour bus, big pomp and circumstance, the whole gallery, everything that goes with what you'd think a World Series would go with for Division III.
Like maybe it's not Omaha, but it's pretty fucking cool.
It's pretty cool for
It's something that you'd buy a ticket to
for
if you
a boy from Joliet, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Like a dude that you're just like, I didn't think I'd get that far.
Yeah. Hey, look how far we've come.
yeah.
So I'll never
St.
forget
Joe's to this. All right.
playing beautiful stadium, up to bat. Bless you. Lazy fly ball out. I'm like, that's it. I said, that's my last. That's my last at bat. Yeah. God, I suck. Hey, by today's standards, I'd have a high average.
Dude, you'd be insane.
Those standards, no. I'm like, that's it. So I remember my parents were there. We went out to dinner, nice dinner. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to tell you that I go, this is it. I'm done. I'm like, I can't see the ball. It's not fun. I'm arguing with the coach. It's not working out. The majors aren't calling, obviously. So I'm done. And my dad leans in. He's like, I can't believe you lasted this long.
Get the fuck out of here. Dude, Barry pays off in the end. He pays it off in the end.
He's like, I
can't believe you
saw
lasted
you
this long.
I saw you with you and the coach weren't on the same page. He's like, I know. He's like, I thought you were going to pull the pin sooner. I'm like, I said, well, I wrote it out.
I don't know your dad that well, but he's a fucking good guy. Good dude. Good dude. I love that. I love that. This almost felt like a stand-up comedian's like long-winded story that had a payoff at the end.
That was the payoff.
Like, and at the end,
that was a long play. That was a long play.
It was a hell of a fucking punchline.
It was,
the end, wasn't it?
And I'm like, that's it.
Like,
shit,
he's right.
So that was it. And I guess segueing into another story or whatever it can be or not be, but come senior year, I after that I said, Coach, that's it, I'm done. Standard bullshit. Oh, we hate to see you go. You got potential. Blah blah blah. I'm like, well, I can't see the ball. This is not fun. We're not getting along. It's pointless. I got a senior year. I said I'm way ahead of credits to graduate early if I want to.
Let's go ride it out.
We'll see.
Man.
I can do whatever. So parents come down again. Now we're living off campus senior year. I must have just moved in. So they came down. In a weird twist of fates, our house is right down the left field line of the baseball field.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, very weird.
No, not by design at all.
Not by design. It's just a cool
the
place.
baseball house.
Nope.
It's not,
just the house
the
of dudes.
campus baseball house.
Yeah, it was. Which they come down and he's like, okay, well, you're done with baseball. What are you gonna do with your life? I'm like, I don't know. Like, probably just move back home after I graduate and be a.
Like, I like numbers.
I said I'd be a cop or a fireman. And he's like,
you sound like you arbitrarily threw that out. Like, I don't know, I guess I'll fucking be a cop or fireman. I don't know. Work for the city
I'm
department.
like, yeah, be a cop or fireman. Just work for the city. Yeah. Like something on Days Confused. Working for the city.
Yeah,
it's good. It's a paycheck. And he's like, the hell you are. He's like, we didn't send your ass to college to come home and work a blue collar job. I was like,
you big dumb fuck. We are.
He's like, I know enough people in that city that if you try, I'll sideline it.
Oh shit.
I was like, oh,
Barry got real.
Oh, okay. So I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, I'll go talk to the guidance, whoever. I said, well, I still want to graduate on time. What can I do? He's like, you could just finish out accounting. I'm like, okay, I'm a numbers guy, right?
Love them numbers, baby. You proved that to me early on.
Yeah. Sure, I'll do accounting.
It's the first friend who's ever sent me a fucking spreadsheet, like, just for no reason.
It's a good spreadsheet.
He's just like, check this out, man. I call this the Matrix.
It was that proved like, how solvent our team was.
Little League. This
solvent.
Guy's like, fucking, hey, check this out. Here's a fucking spreadsheet. I was like, man, I thought I was cool sending a shared Google sheet. You were like, no, this is the Matrix, actually.
This
like,
is the master.
The guy I'm talking to right now is a little different. He's a little different than what I thought, but that's why I'm asking you to sit down and talk into a microphone. So
a lot of weird pockets up in this head that haven't been touched.
It's great. It's great stuff. I
might come back for the first and last episode. There'd be so much to talk about. I don't know.
You might end up as a co-host. That's probably what's going to end up happening.
What's the depends on the pay.
Well, there'll be none.
Do I have creative freedom? And
there'll be none. Before we transition in, because my screen's still up and I'm still seeing Jack Hornberger, and before I forget, I want to give a quick shout out to a couple people. This little guy right here. This little logo for people who followed the beer podcast, blah, 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 whatever. My friend Mario actually designed it and colored it. It used to be like, it's got a green background. It was the actual logo for the podcast and stuff for about 4 years. But my buddy John, I don't even know, John might be like, don't say my whole name. But John painted this actual little replica of it for the background of the podcast. Because for anybody who listens, I didn't have video in the past, so I'm trying to figure out things to fill it with. And this has a really good story behind it, but I don't want to say it until I verify with John that he doesn't mind me saying why he paints pictures all the time. There's more stuff coming. You're going to see as this podcast builds. You're going to see it in the background, and we'll start adding some more stuff, paintings from some originals from my guy John. Anyways, that's it. I think you were about to make like the most perfect transition because we went through like an hour plus of baseball talk. Which is something I did want to cover at some point, and we just got it out of the way right away. But it's a good transition. Like, I guess I'll get my accounting degree type thing.
Yeah. Well, it was like, what can you do, and not have to stay in school, like graduate on time. And accounting was the right thing. It was easy. I was already taking classes. But the interesting thing was to get to the gym. You would walk through the baseball parking lot, and I'd see him practicing. They'd be like, hey Kren, like the guys that we still hung out and partied with. Yeah, hey man, yeah. I'm like, yeah, go get him. Yeah, just going to work on these arms, bicep day, dude. Bicep day.
Check out the fucking biceps, dude. Curls for the girls. We're going.
So we're talking maybe a week back and forth. It's nice out. Yeah, hey man, and. Okay, so now it's a Monday. I'm going to the gym after my one class that I've now Dean's List, time management's under control.
Schedule's off the chain.
Fantastic. And by the way, it's quarter beer night at Killarney's. So
quarter beer night
we got everything. We got an acoustic gig next week somewhere. Like it's great, right? Everything's working out. The pitching coach comes running up to the parking lot. Hey, Nate.
I thought you were going to say quarter draft night.
Hey, you going to quarter draft night?
He's sitting next to me at quarter draft night.
He's got a stack of quarters. He's throwing them at me. So he's like, hey, I talked to him. Like, yeah. I'm like, what's up, coach? I always liked him. He's like, I talked to coach, and he's like, we want you back. I was like, what?
That's weird.
We need.
I didn't see this coming.
No.
Honestly.
He's like, we need you back. I'm like, not a chance. Not a chance, dude. I said, ship has sailed.
You let it go. You actually
I
let
did.
it go.
Mentally, I let it go. But the funny thing about that is that in between junior and senior year, I got glasses.
Oh, you're like, I can see the fucking ball again.
Yeah, so I want to say...
You get some of them Barry Bonds contacts that like the ball separates from the background.
Yeah, right. I want to say it was before I went back, glasses, there was like an alumni baseball game at JCA, Catholic High. I'm like, yeah, I'll play for fun.
14 home runs.
Never seen the ball better.
Stop.
I'm like, okay.
There
it is.
It's the moment.
So, and that makes me think of like
somehow Jill's gonna hear this and be like, "That's because he's all by himself." He's like, "This is my opportunity to show everybody how fucking awesome I am."
it was
Saw the ball like a fucking
true
watermelon.
medical problem.
It's like a watermelon.
It was a medical
coming
problem,
in
undiagnosed.
front of his old high school friends. Just
man,
watermelon.
Just tattooing the
It's
ball.
not even trying.
So it was interesting. He's like, yeah. I'm like, I said, no. I said I already mic dropped it. I'm out. So it was that was kind of funny. But yeah. So then it was accounting.
I feel like the accounting is probably going to be the shortest part of the fucking Nate Kren biography. It's going to be
it's going to be a very, very small blip.
Oh yeah, that's hilarious.
However,
you truly are a numbers guy though. Like people say that about themselves, like they, oh, I like numbers, or like I'm good at math. 99% of people say I fucking suck at math, right? And you're willing to offer up like, oh, I'm pretty good at math, but like you're legitimately like one of the better planners I've ever met when it comes to like just in numbers, and I don't know how else to describe it because I'm not good at what it is, but you know what I'm talking about. Like you have a propensity to be able to like keep your shit together, and like you want to know shit ahead of time. You want to be able to plot things out.
Yeah, I feel like I owed it to myself to at least use some of my degree. It's I don't know. They seem to make sense. Certain things, you got friends that'll sit there and tell you about every world war, and shame on me, I'm not the best with history.
Dude, you don't fucking talk about Adam Last like that.
He's awesome, man.
Last
or like
history.
I'm like, and it's awesome, right?
That's our guy.
You could put a table of guys and
love you, Adam.
Good dude.
He's out there somewhere. This. Love him.
The guy that's talking about old war stories and history is going to be a lot cooler than the guy that's talking about accounting principles.
Yeah, I mean maybe
or theorems.
Maybe.
I don't know. I guess depends on the
both
table.
Be dorks.
I don't know. Someone enjoys it, but I don't know. So yeah, so accounting was the easiest thing to get done the quickest and paid the best.
So let's break down the timeline, right? So we can do some quick fast forwards and we'll chop back, our modern day references. You get the little 15 seconds back button on your YouTubes. We'll let's drive it forward. So what point does family come into this? What your current state? Like what point do you guys start this? Is this in college when you meet the one? Is this post college you meet the one? I mean, obviously you knew the one while you were in college, right?
So you're talking about my married life.
Your life that is your life right now.
No.
So you didn't know the young lady that now is.
Right. So we went to the same high school, but
you guys didn't know each other.
No.
See, I didn't know that.
Which is
this is great.
To add to the bizarreness of the story, my best friend is married to one of her best friends. So how do we not cross?
So fucked up.
And I had a serious relationship in high school that I probably spent more time with that than
baseball.
Going to the baseball, than going to random parties in high school. So maybe that was part of it, but we didn't really.
You weren't socializing
out
there.
We weren't really crossing paths or hanging out.
She was a junior first baseman to you.
Yeah.
Didn't even know her name.
Didn't even know her. Didn't matter.
Didn't even know her name.
But like
inconsequential.
Yeah.
So what was your gap between starting to settle the personal side of your life, with the accounting? Like here, like this is my path. I fucking dominated the end of this school year, killed it, got a job right out of high school in this field. And then when does kind of like the personal kind of closure come for yourself? Because, you date for how long? You fucking girlfriend here, girlfriend there. You're a woman, whatever you choose. A lot of guys choose the path. They're like serial dating.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys are just like, I just bang girls. Some guys are, I find one and I just hope to fucking God she keeps me.
Yeah,
where did you fall in the spectrum at that point? And how long between like CPA to, obviously there's another part of your story that's more current that we'll get to, but.
Yeah, I was. I was working in Chicago, right? So I had a job downtown Chicago. So that presents what you can imagine it presents, right? But somehow, with my weird mind, I can't dedicate everything to doing that, right? So the same thing everyone did. You go out. You're 21. You're making good money. It was like college. We went out every night because you have all this money.
Be like, what do I even do?
What do I do? I don't even need it. Like I'll stay out till 4 a.m. and show up to work at 6. Doesn't matter.
They're paying us too much. We don't have anything to pay for.
Right. Right. But in that time, though, I still continued with the music, playing. And, I'm like, man, baseball didn't work out. I really don't like this accounting thing. Like maybe rock and roll is the ticket.
Gigs, dude. Fucking gigs.
Right? To anybody that's ever played, it's funny because some people will laugh, but to anybody that's ever played in front of people
totally understand.
And been well received, you're like,
I've 100% never had that feeling. And I have played music in front of people, but never at a level. But I know so many people that are very good at it that, like, to me, I can fully understand that feeling. I've watched my friends kill.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And they don't even think about it. They don't even think about it. They're like, God, I fucked that up. Right. And I messed that up. Like, I'm like, I think you might be fucking the one.
Yeah, right.
I watched like the reception that they get and
unbelievable.
Them sing. Like,
it's fantastic. There's nothing like it.
It's incredible. Like, it's fun to watch, and to like have it be lost on them sometimes is like, whoa, dude, like you just kind of murdered right there.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, but I'm nothing.
Yeah. Whatever. I'm just a man. I'm a man like you. Put my pants one leg at. No. So. I got to figure out this.
So you had the feeling. You had the feeling. You were playing, and you were like, maybe
this is cool.
Like, it doesn't mean I can't. Like,
this is cool. I'm like, accounting's not
feels good. Yeah. Well, and then it's also that factor in music too of like, you don't really know. Like, there's some shitty fucking bands that gained a lot of notoriety.
And we said the same thing all the time.
If you're in the right place, and again, I'm not saying it's fucking lottery. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying that, like, you got a shot. Like, if you're pure and you're into it and your music falls on the right ears and they put you in the right position, it's like, it can happen. Like,
absolutely. That's what we said. Like, look at this guy. This guy's terrible.
That's the thing, right? We all see these guys that make millions of dollars. You're like, that guy sucks.
But then on the other side,
like sports, we watch.
This guy's terrible.
Like, fucking Justin Fields guy, piece of shit.
Like, just getting all this money. But then there's also so many good musicians out there, right? That'll never get off the ground. Right place, right time, right? So I feel like we're jumping all over the place. So
that's the point.
Yeah.
No. You bring us back to the timeline. We can come back.
Yeah. So this
We're in the
accounting
multiverse
thing,
for a
we
second.
are. That's the best place to be. You make your own rules. That's what I tend to do every day.
Yeah,
now
we're in the multiverse for a little bit, but we can come right back. So you're CPA. You're kind of looking at music like, man, maybe it's something. It's something I enjoy. I know I don't enjoy this.
Yeah. So for the record, I sat for the CPA test and did not pass it.
What does that mean? I don't even know what that means.
So at the time, the CPA was a series of tests. It's a 2-day long test.
Like, I know some people that have had to go through the process and stuff, and I hear how difficult it is, but I have no real concept of like, what it means if you pass it versus if you don't pass it. You can't count anymore if you don't pass it. Like,
it's a great thing to have on your name. At the time I took it, it was 2 days in a row of testing, 8 hours a day of tests. And I'm like, this is terrible. I didn't really study for it. I'm like, I'm Nate Kren. I'll pass this. I don't even need to study for it. Not the case.
Confidence never an issue.
Not an issue, but definitely an issue for that test.
Fucked me up.
Well, I did not pass, but I'm like, you know what? I did pretty good for not studying. Pretty happy with it. So, had I continued in the accounting field, that CPA is a badge of honor for sure. Do I know a lot of people that are still in accounting that don't have it? Yeah. But it does help. Like, oh wait, you're not licensed and bonded. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hire you to be my plumber.
Like, doing my taxes, motherfucker.
Oh, you're a CPA. Oh yeah. You know everything. So, working in the city, hating every minute of it, trying to leave as early as I can. A little bit of the old Nate Kren comes out my second year. They're like, hey,
I was breaking shit.
We need breaking computers. Yeah. Like, hey, we need you to do this. I'm like, I already did it. Oh, okay, you're done. I'm like, yeah, so I'm gonna go home. Like, well, no, we'll find something else for you to do. I'm like, well, I don't understand. I'm like, what don't you understand? I go, you needed me to work on this for 20 hours, right? And build a client for 20 hours. I got it done in 10. So
that's your fault.
Take the 10 hours and do what you want with or whatever. It's like, well, no, we'll have you do something else. I'm like, but what about the guy that takes 30 hours? That's okay? Because I'm efficient.
So if I would have
slowed
down, I would have been.
Yeah, I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
The defining moment, and this is one of the things that we'll never forget. At the time, this is my hack, right? My accounting world hack. I would get a pile of magazines and go into the bathroom and just like read Sports Illustrated and ESPN for like an hour in the crapper. Not crapping, just to get away.
Like at work.
Yeah.
Like in the facility.
My work's done here. I'm going to go take some me time.
Okay.
Hey,
it's my hideout here.
Yeah, Billy over there took 13 smoke breaks.
Yeah.
Okay, where are we? I'm gonna read in the bathroom.
It's a whole nother band-aid to peel off of corporate America. Like the way shit happens in life, and for the sheer fact that it annoys me, I don't even want to entertain it right now.
I know.
But we could go down that road.
We
could 100% go down that road, like and have that conversation. But God, it's fucking annoying. It's hilarious that like think about now, all these people working at home and shit. You think your fucking bathroom breaks were epic? Think about all these people that are probably working at home.
I couldn't do it. I never come out of the bathroom. No. I barely did then. So, to me, career progression, whatever career you choose, is like, I want to be the next guy up, right? I want to move up this ladder. And in my mind, if I moved up the ladder, I need to know everything still, but I'm going to do a little bit less work because I have guys doing it for me. And then if I make it up to here, I'm the man, right? It's basically pyramid.
Now what am I doing? What am I actually doing?
So it was actually
I'm a consultant
opposite.
At this point.
Right.
They just want to know my opinion.
I'm just here. But not the case for accounting. The higher you went up, the more work you'd have to review and redo or fix and churn out. So your workload almost became worse.
This is a terrible idea to be good at this.
Right? Yeah. So why be efficient?
What an interesting concept to have to grapple with.
So I'm like looking at all these people. I'm like, that guy looks miserable. That guy looks miserable. That guy looks miserable. Mm-hmm. So I'm in the bathroom reading my magazine.
And they're not funny.
No.
Like, I mean, anybody who's watched Parks and Rec knows.
Yeah. Right?
Like the old accounting.
I'm like, this is not for me. So like I'm reading, and then, in walks the door. Two of the older, like senior guys, and I know them by voice, and they're talking. I was like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, how's it at home? He's like, not good. I'm like,
what does that mean?
Where's this going?
Yeah.
He's like, not good.
Are you about to unload something I don't want to hear?
I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, maybe I'll plug my ears. Yeah. He's like, my wife says she never sees me. The kids say they don't even know who I am because I'm always working, and it's just getting worse. I'm never home, and I don't know what to do.
We went to St. Thomas for like 3 days, but
without me.
Yeah,
because of the season, I'm like,
she looks great.
Well,
she's taking care of herself.
All that money he's making and not being all spent is it's working out for her.
Mm-hmm. It's working out for her.
I can't be this guy. I can't. I'm like, you want to be good at what you do just to have more work and no time for anything. I said, that is miserable. So you know what I did? They did their thing. I got done. I'm like, I'm done. I said, I'm done. I'll ride out this busy year and I'm done. And that's it.
And outside of professionally, when this is happening, are you like full on? How old are you at this point?
22 to 23.
Oh shit, that's pretty young to come to these realizations. Like, and single.
Yeah,
single, just living in Chicago, hanging out with the boys,
playing with the band,
making some dough,
trying to make some music.
Got a couple Saturday gigs lined up or whatever at the fucking Double Door.
But not quite that good, but yeah.
Okay, all right.
So I'm like, I can't do this. I'm like, this is it. Like I'm sitting there. I'm like, this is it. This is what I look forward to.
This is my fucking life.
I said, nope, not gonna do it. Call up my buddy that I went to college with, who lives in California, and I'm like, hey, what do you? Which reminds me, it's his birthday. I gotta text him.
Yeah, you better text him.
I better text
Do
him.
it on the show. I don't give a shit.
2 hours.
We call him. We FaceTime him.
2 hours behind us, so
We'll
we
FaceTime
got time.
him. I don't care.
I don't even know what time it is. Yeah. Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, FaceTime on here. I'll put him right up on the screen. I don't give a shit. Technology.
He's like, well, this and this. I'm like, what's your living situation? He's like, well, my lease is coming up, and I'll need to get something new in like May. I said, I'll be there.
You're like, dude, you hitting on me right now?
Yeah, yeah. He's like, what are you talking about? I said,
no, I just need somewhere to live.
I said, screw it. I'm moving to California. He's like, what? I said, I can't do this. I gotta take a chance. I go, and if I don't do it now, I'll never do it.
But for real, why fuck California? Like,
that was it.
What
Just
was?
because he lived there was something.
So you're like, bro,
Something else.
Where was he at? Like, what part of California?
So he was in SoCal, just north of San Diego, is a town called
75 and sunny, man. Okay.
Truth. Preach.
Yeah.
Del Mar was the town.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a
So I remember
popular one.
like I have no one to tell but my parents, right? It's not like I don't have a serious relationship or anything. So I was like, hey, I'm quitting accounting. All that money that was spent in school, I'm quitting it, and I'm gonna move to California.
I made some money though. I made a few bucks.
Yeah, I spent a lot of it too.
Well, whatever. Yeah, that's what you do when you're that age,
Right? So my dad's like, hell yes.
Really?
Yeah, hell yes. Yeah.
He's like, fuck yeah, man.
The onion that is him, you would not
Just peel it
thinking
back.
to say. He said, hell yes. Hell yes. My mom's like, I don't think that's a good idea. Your job. I'm like, can't do it. Can't do it.
So dad's a number one right off the bat. Hell yeah.
Let her rip.
Like, did he give you any backup for that? Like,
No.
hell yeah, because, damn, son.
So he was in the Army, right? And then out of the Army, he was in California for a little
I
bit.
didn't know he was a military guy.
Just because of the timing in the area, like where the base was. So he's probably like, yeah, I get it. You're 22, 23. Like, so my approach to that mentally was, I said, I'm 22, 23. I can go here now in my young 20s. If it fails, I can move back and start again. And only have missed a year or two.
It's funny that you're already thinking ahead, though, at that age. I feel like I'm
and that's
40 now, and I still don't think ahead far enough.
Definitely not characteristic of me at the time, but I'm like,
Proud of you, bud.
yeah. I said, there's no time like the present. I said, or I don't do it, I do this, and I always think, what if? I said, I'm not going to live with what ifs. So, called my buddy, said, I got a U-Haul. It's going to take about 23 hours to get there.
How long from, like, done with accounting to, like, actually resident of California? Like, what was your guesstimate? Weeks? Months?
Yeah, a couple
days?
weeks. Couple weeks. Problem was, the decision was made probably in January, but I told work that I would ride out my jobs through a busy season, through like early April.
Get us through tax season.
Yeah, for the most part. I'm like, oh, that was nice. But during that time, I was like, what's his name from Office Space, dude?
You were scaling back.
They're like, where's Nate? I said, I don't think I'm going to make it in today. Yeah. They're like, oh, okay. And
yeah.
Joe, it was just like that too. So they'd be like, hey, we know, but like, could you maybe do those reports? I said,
no TPS reports?
They're already done. They're like, oh, okay. I'm like, I said, I'm probably going to take off right now. They're like, oh, okay. We'll see you tomorrow, maybe. Dude, it was great.
Some not going to work.
Yeah, that's what it was. And they're like, I don't know if I'm like, this is how it's going to be. They're like, okay. Okay. They weren't like, hey,
what else were they
going to
say to you?
They shouldn't, like, usually be like, you know what? I know you put your 2 weeks in, but you can leave now. They're like, oh, okay, just
we're not going to give you any more responsibility.
Let us know. It was fantastic.
It's on them. That's on them.
That was their choice. I mean, I maybe would have done the work. Probably would have.
So do we cover the California chapter? What's the California chapter look like? We got a few thick pages there.
So
we in and out.
That will bridge to your question.
Oh, so it all comes
family
back home.
relationship.
It all comes back home. All right,
dude. My life, it's like a Tarantino movie almost, right? Where
we start at the beginning. We start at the end. We come back.
So I move out there.
I'm gonna have to crack another.
I think you should.
You need to take sips in between your conversationalists.
Well, I told you, once you get me going here, I might not stop.
I got no problems with that. I got no problem. That's why I brought you. It's literally the only prep that I gave you. It was like, hey, don't avoid telling long stories. All right, record. Let's
Well, this
go.
is hard because I feel like it's all about me.
Well, it is. That's the point.
Well,
It doesn't have nothing to do with me. I just like to ask questions.
Okay.
That's why we do this. That's why I have a podcast, man. That was the whole thing. It was just, hey, beer people, why are you doing this? Like, what's going on? What drove you here? And then wherever it goes. I mean, I thought maybe we spend 20 minutes on the fucking Bears, but
You can.
I mean, we're deep. We're deep right now. I want to at least get to a certain point. So let's. You told me we're tying in right now, so let's tie in. Let's tie into where I was going.
Yeah. So I go out there.
I'm getting all the pregame right now because I have the current state. You know, I have the current state Kren household, right?
Yep.
I've got the dog and the suburban house and the woodwork and I've got the pool. Like I've got all that Kren stuff.
Yeah.
I've got the moms and the baseball and all that. So I'm trying to figure out where this guy come from. Because we meet each other and we're in these positions and these shapes that we're in, and we've got these beautiful women next to us that are that are sending kids to sports and driving. So it's like I know I was a fucking idiot for a good number of years. What were you like?
Yeah. There's that. Well, that also will be part of that segue or that bridge to the better half. Is that. So I move out there, right, and we're living in a place that we can't afford. I can't remember what the rent was, but it was more than we should have bid off.
You and the homie in Delmar,
Yep.
fucking Delmar.
We are a ball's throw from the beach.
Of course you are.
Which
Why else would you live there?
at that point it goes down to kind of residential, but it was like part of the Pacific Coast Highway. So quick walk right across the main street, another house / alley, beach. So it was from the doldrums of a Chicago winter to the coast of San Diego. Fantastic. The shtick was the people he worked for. His aunt and uncle were pretty connected. They had some businesses. One of their businesses was owned by a guy. His name was Steve Goldberg. Fine Jewish name, right?
Yep.
And we can get into this, but Steve
He
Goldberg.
sounds like he represents somebody important. Yes.
Steve Goldberg is the brother of Bill Goldberg. You would know him as Goldberg the wrestler.
Right. I'm gonna say my WWE folks stand up.
They are businessmen now, and not the wrestler, but his brother Steve, and they own this place called the Belly Up Tavern. And whenever you have chance, you can look it up. I would describe it as a mini House of Blues.
Okay.
Well, they
It's
were
like good music venue, good sound, good stage.
fantastic vibe.
Not like blown out, small room.
Right, fantastic, and
Get a good performer there. Maybe you're not getting fucking Paul McCartney, but you're
Right.
You're gonna get some good acts there.
their kind of thing was we'd get that guy on his rise to stardom,
On the way.
and then on his way down.
Yeah.
But very cool place. So it just so happens they're in the market for a bookkeeper. I'm like, okay,
Numbers tool.
that's the simple segue. And I get my music fill.
right.
Trying to get a band
Right.
going again. All that good stuff. Excuse me. So I'm like, oh, this is cool. I get to work in the back of the house, work with these numbers, do payroll, that kind of stuff, but then also get to kind of see how this world really works, like on this scale.
Hey, you want to take in a show? Take in a show. Like
For free, yeah.
I'm here to work.
So many perks.
Here to work. But I'm also watching, Billy Corgan's on a acoustic tour.
Yeah, well, Billy Corgan's like cousin's
Yeah.
aunt, who's a folk songwriter, but has a good,
Fucking kills it though. She got them pipes.
fantastic. Doesn't whine as much as Billy, but
Okay.
it was so befriended everyone there because they also had a restaurant next to it. So, learning how food works, learning different crafts, because like craft beer still isn't really what it is at the time it is now. But
I mean,
there's other things I
where
didn't
we
know
at
about
right now. 2005,
Yeah.
6.
No, we're still, dude. This is quick. This is a whirlwind tour. This is 2004
Yeah.
ish.
I'm in college, dude. I'm in college at this point.
Yeah.
I'm at
You're
Western
just
Illinois
you're just a
University.
spring chicken.
Just murdering, watching Bartman, watching.
Yeah, right.
With Adam Lass and
Right.
Chris Stein by my side.
Another
Washington.
segue.
Yep.
You guys are just babies. I'm out there
Yep. You were
rewriting
out there.
history. Rewriting history.
In California, yeah.
So,
Man.
so we got this real cool place. We ended up picking up another roommate because that was the day where you could post a Craigslist ad and get
Oh, dude, the best.
get legitimate good people.
Yeah.
So,
You get shit done on Craigslist.
dude, it was the place.
Yep.
You
get shit done.
you would update your MySpace page and then hit Craigslist.
Fucking Tom.
You could.
Just Tom be like,
So, so it was a girl, which blew my mind. She's like, "Hey, can I come look at it with my boyfriend?" I'm like, "Your boyfriend's gonna let you stay
don't
with
have
us?"
A boyfriend.
So, and I fell out of touch with her, and I always like, "Oh, I should try to rekindle." But her name was Lindsay, and she worked for Surfer magazine. And she's like, "Yeah, I'll take the bigger bedroom, pay more rent." So now we can actually afford to like do stuff again.
On paper, she sounds like the coolest person ever.
She was really cool. She was really cool.
Surfer magazine.
Yeah, she'd bring home like swag all the time and give it to us. Super cool. And her boyfriend was a airplane mechanic for American Airlines.
Of course, it was probably fucking awesome.
His name was Peter, Petr.
Oh shit, Peter.
Peter.
I think I can help with the whole Peter thing.
Peter thing, right? I mean, so, but good, overall good people, but that helped the whole situation. So I'm trying to jam with guys, and I'm meeting these guys to jam with through my roommate Chris and his uncle, and they're all plugged into this little
circuit.
Yeah, dude.
Circuit. All right.
The band was made up of. So I'm 23, 24 at the time, and these guys are like 44, and I'm just jamming with them,
The best guys.
meeting them, and learning their world. But all the weird thing is that all these guys are uber successful and uber wealthy.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I get that though.
So we get plugged
Finding
in.
these guys, they're like, I now have the convenience to have the time to do this thing I've always wanted to do, and some of them do it right. You know, they're like, I learned.
It was awesome. So, and my buddy Chris's aunt and uncle, very well connected, very well off. They were all about like, hey, we know you guys are like young and dumb, like ready to tear walls down and party. But he's like, I'm gonna teach you some finer things in life. Like, here's how you do this. Here's how you do this. Come to this party with us. We'll do this. Just
Network
at its finest. And they were the nicest people. Like, oh, California pretentious, blah blah blah. No, these are like Midwest people, like type roots.
Like y'all transplants or something.
It is. So that was really fun. So I guess for perspective, I was only in California for a year.
Oh shit. Okay. All right.
It was.
Hey, fucking make the most of it.
Wild run.
Jam-packed.
So I want to say 2 or 3 months in, TJ Gruber is like, I gotta come out.
Gruber.
I gotta come out and visit you.
Shout out neighbor.
Yeah, gotta come out and visit you. I said, absolutely, you're gonna love it. All we do is have fun. I said, well, I'm gonna bring my cousin Julie Nelson. I think
I knew Julie. Yeah. I mean, I didn't really know her that well, but she lived down the street from us.
TJ and
She
Julie
was a
are
little older
cousins.
than I was, but
She's like, she wants to go to California too.
lovely young lady.
Yes,
Lovely.
known her my whole life too, like with TJ. So
heir to the jewelry fortune.
yes. She's like, can she come? I'm like, absolutely. The more the merrier. She's like, and I'm gonna bring a friend too. I said, dude, we're here to have a good time.
Sure,
Whatever. So I'll never forget. They got in like maybe midnight, and it was like after like a Saturday beach day, so it was probably questionable that we went and got them. But
yeah,
that's when this thing began. It was
the energy was there.
5 days.
Energy was there
of like the coolest time ever. So it was racetrack season. So in Del Mar they have a fairgrounds like Arlington used to be.
Yeah.
And they bring in big name bands. They have all these, so they're like, well, tomorrow we gotta go pick up my friend because she's coming in. I'm like, yeah. So we stay up all night long partying. We gotta go.
You were the excuse for a bunch of people to go to California.
Absolutely, and I'm okay
a
with
bunch
that.
of dipshits from Illinois.
and I was
you were
okay
the
with it. Yeah.
excuse for them to visit San Diego area.
Beautiful San Diego.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're gonna go pick up my friend, and we went and got her friend the next day. Same thing, 3-4 more days of like the coolest parties ever. Wherever we went, like someone wealthy from the racetrack ended up being there, and like we were the loudest, funnest people in the room. So everyone started partying together. It was insane. It was like I don't know what the movie is, like where they're partying all night long and it just grows and grows to the best thing that ever happened. So that's what it was.
That's what they call it, the Gruber effect.
It must have been. It was fantastic.
It's the Gruber effect.
Fantastic. So the friend they brought was Jill Brady. Kind of my first time really meeting her.
To put the puzzle together.
Right. So we hit it off, right? Hit it off great, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, well, I'd like to come out and visit you again sometime. Like, I would love to have you, And
it sounds very professional of you guys.
Yeah, right. We'll have a meal. We'll do lunch.
Yeah. You look like you got a sweet dick. I want to come back out again.
So,
no. Sorry about that.
You'll have to add that one out for the PG version.
We'll have the creative version for them to listen to.
So, just tell me when it hits. I'll just skip it. I'll skip that part. So,
it's at the 3.5 hour mark.
We're gonna run out of film here.
Yeah, we're not that old. I mean, we're not on film. But so this is like the introduction to what potentially becomes Mrs. Kren.
Yes. So
bananas. Which is also hilarious that you and I are having this conversation because I had a connection with Jill as a child because my cousin Ryan and her were as close as could be for I don't know how many years, but it was, me being 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever it was. So, and then my wife of now, she cheerleaded with her at some point in their high school careers, but it was just kind of hilarious that like that, we didn't really know each other at all until whatever, 3-4 years ago. We may have known each other. We may have heard last names. I'm like, oh yeah, I recognize Kren. I recognize, whatever it was, but it's hilarious to me that that's the connection. Like your friend TJ wants to come to California, and hey, our other friends come in, and Julie Nelson's involved here. I remember jumping off the fucking Corys with Julie Nelson and her friends while I was a little kid basically because they're a little bit older than I am, but it just the kind of interwoven fabric of the area just kind of comes into play. So
that's the Joliet effect.
Y'all just decide like, well, maybe I come out again. Let them say hi.
Yeah. So
hit it off on the first run.
Hit it off good, right? Her mom works for United Airlines, so flights are at that time easy.
Just like you peasants paying for flights.
So
how dare you?
She comes out again. Whatever, the vibe's the same. She leaves, and I remember feeling like, man, I feel like depressed that she's not here. So I'm like, man, like maybe
what is this?
Yeah, what is this? And like the one guy's like, you kidding me, dude? He's like, is that you serious? I'm like, yeah.
Oh, Kren's a pussy.
Yeah, right. So the short of the long is that maybe once a month for the next 5 months she would come out and visit me, and then as we're nearing the end of that lease, I'm like, hey, like I really like you. It's been maybe 6 months of long distance dating, which is bizarre.
Yeah, that's super bizarre because considering you guys didn't know each other at home.
Right.
Different story if you guys,
Yeah.
You don't hear that story too often.
Right. So I'm like, I got to decide, like, am I staying here? Or do I take a chance and chase you back home? I'm like, or how about you? Why don't you move out here? Like you're kind of in limbo of what's going on.
I'll get no. My brother is Tom Brady. Maybe you've heard of him.
So ultimately, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna chase her home, and everyone there's like, don't do it. Bad move. Bad. You leaving? They're like,
that's such a dude. That's such a dude. Like conglomerate. Like, no, dude, fuck that.
It was.
You're out here living good.
They're like, it's California, man. It's like 6 months long. You're gonna leave? I'm like,
yeah.
I said, I got a feeling.
What a dude mentality that
is. I said, I got a feeling. So
like literally everyone told me don't do it.
They did. Not one person said do that. Yeah. But in my fashion, you tell me one thing, I definitely want to do the other thing.
I'm not surprised.
That's how I am. So
not surprised. Worked out like fucking gangbusters on this one.
Guess what? I was right.
Yep.
So yeah, chase her home, go through all that, whatever, and luckily it all worked out.
Yeah. Didn't even write her a song or anything though. I mean,
I might have tried at some point, but I wasn't the songwriter. I was just the guitar. I was the lead guy.
Chasing a lady didn't even write a song. Come on.
There's been
It could be the intro to the podcast. Jesus Christ.
Well, now we're talking.
So year clocked in, clocked out. We're out of here. And then we're back. We're back in J-Town.
We're back in Joliet.
J-Town.
What do we do with our lives?
All right. So you guys are like, we're gonna give this thing a go. Close this fucking lease out. Got security deposit back. Gonna fly my ass home. And then
drove my
ass home. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Straight.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Don't do that. Don't drive 23 hours straight.
Well, when you love a woman, it happens.
Oh.
So what'd your parents say? Was Barry like, don't come back?
What do you no, he's like, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm back, and I am going to be a fireman. And this was at like an awkward first dinner with them and Jill at a restaurant.
Be like, I didn't listen to the first 2 hours of the podcast. He's going to be a fireman now? No.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So came back living with TJ.
What were you doing in California the whole time, though? Like, you had to earn money while you were there.
Oh, the bookkeeping thing.
That was it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That stayed the whole time.
Barely scraping by.
That stayed the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Barely scraping by. Did couple moonlights as a bartender through the company. Couple like server gigs through the company. I was not cut out to be a server.
All right.
Because
you're mad at people.
I did.
You're like, oh, fuck.
And I'm not an angry person.
I could kill that guy. I could kill that guy with my bare hands.
Well, that's what happened because we were walking around
that
and we
guy talked to me as if I couldn't kill him, but I could kill him.
I think the look I gave him,
right?
he knew
Yeah.
I was gonna kill him.
All right.
I was tasked with the wine serving of this big.
Don't get me wrong, you're a classy guy. Like,
big. I'm not. I don't know.
But I wouldn't have put you on the
classy.
wine. I wouldn't put you on the wine.
I'm long hair. I'm still long haired California kind of this
yeah.
time.
Hey,
right.
Let's hit it again.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Amen to that.
So I'm serving wine, and I forget what I had. I have like Merlot and then something else that I mispronounced. Yeah. Because I'm not a wine guy. And the guy's like, Sauvignon Blanc. And I was like,
yes, sir.
I was like, what did you just fucking say to me? I said, what did you just fucking say to me? I said, what did you just say? He said, I'm sorry.
What's this guy's deal?
Yeah. So I almost strangled him. I'm like, that's the last time I think I can be a server. But odds and ends.
Wayne Brady almost had to choke a bitch. I mean,
I would have right there in front of his wife.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Like, this
I
is
had nothing to lose.
This is what
time.
you married. You made this decision.
You chose this, not me. Not me. So, yeah, it was just enough to get by. It was awesome. But that brought me home, and then living with Gruber in his spare bedroom.
Oh, God, you live with Gruber right off the bat?
No job yet.
Shit, we didn't even fucking scratch the surface on this whole thing. All
boy.
right, so you come back. You let mom and dad know I'm coming back. It's not like I'm going to go live with you guys again. This was like, my buddy says I can live with him. What's Gruber doing? Do we have to call him? Can he come? Can he come and finish this podcast with us? I got a third microphone for him.
At the time, he's working for the Joliet Lock and Dam.
Oh, God damn.
Which is like
where I was jumping off the quarries.
Yeah.
With the Nelsons. Yeah.
Right? Full circle.
Yeah.
Well, everything's full circle. Technically employed by like the Army, ROTC, whatever, but that was his job, and he was on the police and both police and fire list. So he wasn't sure if he was going to be a cop or a fireman. At the time, he gets called by both.
So funny. Meet him, and I would put all the money in the world on him. Like, that kid knew he was born to be a fireman, and that kid knew he was born to be a cop. I would tell you right off the bat, that fucking kid knew he was a fireman from the day he was born, and that kid knew he was a fucking police officer from the day he was born.
It's funny.
Died in the fucking wool, dude.
We went somewhere once, and something happened. We're like, "Do you guys need help?" They're like, "What are you, a cop and a fireman or something?" I'm like,
"Yeah."
He just said that. I'm like, "Oh my God, is it that bad?
Sorry.
Is it that bad?"
Like, fuck, am I wearing my? Oh yeah,
right?
God damn it!
Again, I did it again.
That's great.
So he's working that job, being processed to be a cop and fireman.
He's been being processed his whole life.
Yeah,
he's still being processed.
He chooses the police side, right? Goes away to the academy downstate, and I'm still trying to find a job.
But you also had the thought in your head that you would be a fireman.
I did. Well,
as you came home, like,
I had just missed.
It wasn't like you fucking like I ran out of shit, so I went to fireman.
No, and I had just missed the testing period. If I moved home a month earlier, I would have started it earlier, but I just missed it. So he does that. I eventually get a job back in accounting.
God damn it, Nate. What the fuck are you doing right now?
It's all I could do. I had the papers from Wesleyan that carried salt, and I went and interviewed, and they're like, "Hey, there's a bit of a gap in your employment history."
Hey, wait, just in case you're wondering too, by the way, it's 23-7, Niners over Jets.
I was wondering.
Aaron Rodgers not having the best comeback. It sounds like. I don't know.
Is he playing at least?
It looks like. I don't know. I didn't look at the box score yet. I just had a second to Google.
I assume he's not injured.
Yeah, he's 7 for 11 for 64.
That's.
But yeah, not good. Anyways, sorry. So you're back. You had to find employment. You're back in town. You're living with your boy. And
yeah, I mean, it was the only thing that was. It was the best option, right? So that was funny, sitting across the table. Just, hey, there's a bit of a gap in your employment.
Yeah.
Like, well, here's. I was like, you know,
that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, I said, I got nothing to hide. Here's what I did.
I've been playing acoustic guitar for fucking
like
5 years.
I could shred it right now.
Yeah. Do you know Hootie and the Blowfish? Because I do.
I can do Tom Petty. Told him, I said, hey, I'm willing to start over at ground zero because I've been gone. I need to get back into it, and this and that. And they're like,
you thought that was like your ticket? Like, I'll just do CPA shit.
Yeah, and it was. They're like, we're gonna hire you. You know why? Because we like your honesty and this and that. I'm like, okay, done. So here I am back in the city again. Though I had another job I hate, but it pays the bills, right? So you got to do it. All the meanwhile,
a
year goes by.
Your goddamn vocabulary is out of this world.
Taking the train up and down the city, which is brutal, but it's work, right? It's a living, and waiting for the next.
It's an experience,
test.
though, right? I mean, it's something that I always thought I would do, and I never did. Like work in the city and live in the suburbs. I always romanticized like being on the train, like. It's weird. It's weird.
It's
weird.
It's pluses and minuses.
It's like I'm gonna wake up every morning. I'm gonna put my headphones on. I'm gonna sleep on the train. I'm gonna do my work on the train in the morning. Never did it. I never went there.
That's all right. You didn't miss anything. And I feel for the people that have to commute to work all the time.
Yeah. Well, you see them.
I really do.
You see them, boy.
And
now us with our suburban families, and when we like get on the train, be like, look, kids, this is a fun thing that happens in the world.
Like, what are those people doing?
Yeah.
Like,
why
do they look so angry?
Live this every day. Be like, Dad, why is that guy playing his music without headphones?
Yeah.
And there's a car full of people, and he's just playing Puerto Rican music. It's like,
I don't
like,
understand.
holy shit!
Listen. Well, and that was why I did the California thing. I said I didn't want to be that guy. I can't be that guy. I got to do my. I always say what if, but then that was wearing, and I'm like looking around. I'm like, God, these people. I'm like, come on, I can't do this again. Like, so I'm getting in the process to be a firefighter again.
Oh, so this was like part of it was like a little etched out in the playbook. Like you had some thoughts.
I had to buy time until the next test came around, and then I hopefully would test well enough that I didn't have to wait very long. Because
did you have anybody that you knew that was like, hey, we got testing coming up? Like, oh, my dad, uncle, cousin, good friend of mine.
It was pretty well posted,
right?
When it would be, but no family, because I think still at that time they're like, you didn't go to school to be a fireman.
I'm cutting out nepotism right now.
Right. Well, and that's ultimately, yeah. My grandpa's brother was on the police and fire board, so it didn't hurt me when it came time for hiring.
Okay.
But this is the time where they would pick a list and be like, gone, him, gone, him. Like they would roll through like 50 people to get one. It's not like that now. I mean, it was a much different time.
You look like you just had a fucking alert. You were just like, what?
I just speaking of the.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Hey, we're free flowing. I was about to ask you. I was like, man, you got to piss because at some point.
Do we do a break for that?
At some point, we do a quick break.
How does that work?
We'll do a break, and then we'll just gently fade into it as if it never. Now we'll address the fact that we're going to go take a piss, and then we'll fade into the black. Right. You got to piss?
Yeah.
Or you want to wait?
Yeah.
You want to finish anything? We can tie any loose ends up before we before we ride through?
No. I mean, at this point, I'm back in accounting because it was a known thing to do and a steady thing, and waiting to get called and test for the fire department. So I was kind of in limbo, just sitting around waiting, buying time.
So at this point, were you confident? Were you like, yeah, I'll probably fucking get this? Like, eventually this will be me.
Like, confidence has never been like a very shortcoming for me. It's I've
strong,
kind of been
strong.
So I'm like, yeah, it'll happen, but I'm like, I don't know when.
Like maybe not the first round, maybe not this round.
I was like,
maybe
I hope
test again
I can't
later.
do this anymore. I hope it works. You know,
you were putting some eggs in that basket.
A lot of eggs in one basket.
Good. I
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, in the follow up to the whole break thing, it's like, we got to go. I can press them buttons and we can take a quick break.
Yeah, now's as good a time as any.
All right, let's do it. Just in case I want to leave any of this in, we'll be right back. All right. Sorry. Totally on me. I had to piss. I really had to piss, so I didn't mean to cut you off. I just knew I needed to drain it so we can. I knew we had more time left here.
To be honest, we've barely scratched the surface.
I know. The best part is that I had zero intentions of spending a bunch of time on college baseball or even your youth baseball, or, because just from our time together and what we've talked about over the years, it's like, I think the spark of this idea to you being like the pilot episode of this podcast was the thought of, all right, well, sure. Surface level, fireman's cool career, right? It's tough. Like, oh, you're also part of, next level stuff. But we were kind of getting into that flow of where that came into your story. I'm really glad we covered everything else ahead of it. But let's get back. So as I tapped out.
I tapped
out. I had to pee. But as I tapped out, it was kind of hey, I'm testing. I'm hoping to get this round. If not, I'll keep going. I'll keep competing until I can be a part of it.
Yeah, exactly. So you talk to people that are applying to be police and fire, and they would say test everywhere as much as you can because you don't know.
Did you do other cities?
No.
Okay. Test everywhere.
They would say, do not put all your eggs in one basket. Well, I put a baker's dozen in one small basket, right?
That'd be about a baker's dozen.
Well, and to me, it's like I want to be a firefighter nowhere but Joliet. That's how I looked at it.
Why?
I don't know, because
you know how it is though.
Yeah.
Like if you grow up in a town, it's like shtick almost to like, oh, the shit town that I grew up in.
Right?
Like,
no.
It's like, I don't care about this town. I gotta get out of this town. You went to California for
that's
fuck's sake.
exactly what it was,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
but for some reason, when you came home, you were thinking like, gotta be Joliet.
yeah. So when you move away, you're like, I got out. I left this behind, right?
Okay.
I'm breaking the cycle
What cycle are you breaking?
of living in Joliet.
All right.
And at the time, that's what I thought.
Lovely community. All right, Dick.
No, I mean, born and raised, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm like, I'm out, right? I did it. I'm out. I'm never coming back. And what do? 362 days. I don't know if I made it a whole year. I really don't. It was close. But who's counting? I'm not a numbers guy. But I am a numbers guy.
Not a numbers
Actually,
guy.
I am a numbers guy. It was 367.
Oh, wait, you are a numbers guy.
367 days. So when I'm testing, I'm like, this is it. This is the place I'm going to work. If I'm coming back home, I'm going to be a firefighter back home. Because at the time, very well-respected department. Well-paid, well-respected, been around for a long time.
If I'm being honest, some of my favorite people on the planet work in your fire department.
Some quality chaps.
Maybe they're not even that quality, but they're just fucking great people
Good
to
enough,
be around.
right? Good enough. So
we got family ties there. We've got friend ties there. We got you guys that,
it's weird. It
the
is
best.
It is
The best
weird.
of the best. It
Small,
really is. It really is a
weird,
fucking awesome department. Like the people there are legit.
Yeah, for sure. I'm working this job in the city, and I'm taking the test. So it starts with a written test. So at the time, you're at JT West cafeteria. I want to say
Class 2002, baby.
Oh, there you go. Hey.
Jolly at West.
I want to say maybe, and don't fact check this one. We'll say 300 applicants, 300 to 400 applicants, right?
Sure.
So you're thinking talent pool or candidate pool is large. So the first part is a written test with a little bit of a listening comprehension thing. So the test, and if I may be frank, is pretty rudimentary. So I would stand by this to anybody. Like, if you didn't do well on this test, I'm sorry.
Sorry about it.
Sorry, dude. Something's wrong. Right.
You might be stupid. I don't know.
Right. So you said it, not me.
Yeah, but also apologies to all of you.
Concur.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, some people. I'm not a test taker. I'm like, yeah, but this wasn't really a test. Anyway, I walked out of the test saying, if I got one wrong, I'm mad at myself. That's how easy I thought it was. And we're talking.
I'm trying to balance that right now with like how crazy I know you can be, but also
it was pretty basic.
You're pretty reasonable at the same time. All right.
Nonetheless, I scored well on it, right?
I did good.
But I got more wrong than I thought I would.
Oh, shit. All right.
So I'm like, what? Can I see this test? Maybe the write of the test is wrong.
I want to challenge. You were that stupid.
Right. How'd you get 4 wrong? I don't know, but I did. Anyway, scored well. So from there, the list gets made based on percentage of written. And then from there, everyone that passed the test, you have to pass the test. And I believed a 70 was passing. You had to get a 70% to pass.
Okay.
Everyone that got 70 and above then went on to the oral interviews. And the oral interviews were in front of a board. I think it was 5 or 7 people.
Oh, shit. All right.
And
pretty serious. That's some like movie shit. You know?
Yeah, it can be intimidating for sure.
Yeah,
if you're not prepared for it.
Van Wilder shit.
Yeah, exactly.
There's literally like 5 dudes just staring at you, waiting for you to answer.
You say Van Wilder, I'd say
whatever.
Back to School.
Yeah, Back to School, all that. Rodney Dangerfield?
Thurman, what was Thornton Mellon.
There you go.
I think it was Thornton Mellon.
You got it. You're right there.
He's like, do not go quietly, whatever. Fantastic. So I had never done one of these before, so I kind of researched and how it'd be, and they're like, well, they're going to ask you a question, and then you talk. The whole format is 5 minutes. You could take all your time on one question.
And this is like stage 2.
Yes.
There's like application stage 1,
Yep.
test stage 2,
Yep.
this in-person to stage 3, whatever,
Right.
however you want to look at it. Okay.
So I'll never forget the guys, like, they're going to ask you questions about character and kind of belief values kind of stuff. Like, hey, you're at a house and your buddy, you guys are helping someone and there's $20 and your buddy takes it. What are you going to do?
Really?
Stuff like that.
That's it. All right.
So
All right.
I thought they were going to ask a series of questions and I'd answer them in order. So they taught, I'll never forget. They said blah 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 blah, and they stopped and they looked at me and I was just like,
Did you think you were like? Did you over prepare?
I think
Is that
so.
what you thought?
I was like,
your brain like.
oh, you want me to talk now? They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh shit.
This is not meant.
This is not going well.
This is not meant to be like, well, Julia fire department. Like they were soft on the questions. It was just like you were going into it with a mental state of like, I'm gonna be prepared. Like,
yeah,
fucking seals. Like they're about to try to drain my.
I thought
shit.
they're gonna be like a Rubik's cube has 84 pieces.
Yes. Yeah.
What would this be? A guitar does this.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this is this, and no.
How many RPMs is a string vibrate?
Yeah,
at?
right.
You play a
like,
G chord.
Okay, you don't say talk and you do whatever, and then, I think what garnished me a better score is that I remembered each of their names. So when we got done, I said, "Thank you, Joe."
Just as easy as that.
Thank
Just
you,
remember
John.
their
Thank you, Nate. I
names.
did. And I'm like, to me, as an outsider, I'd be more impressed if I asked you a bunch of questions and at the end, you actually remembered everyone's name.
Nah, you're not wrong about that. It almost sounds like cavalier. Almost sounds kind of like, oh, okay, that's stupid. Like anybody could do that. Like you really, if you care about what's happening in front of you, if it's a situation that you're describing of like, you're basically sitting on a panel, you're watching a panel judge you almost in a way, to be able to effectively compete in that arena and then also finish it with a little like, John, Amy,
Pleasure.
Bill,
It's been a pleasure.
Susan, thank you. Yeah.
No, thank you.
Holy shit, that guy was impressive.
And that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So then you get the score for that. And I got my score, and I'm like, I did not score that great. Like, apparently that didn't mean anything. Didn't score poorly, but I thought I did a lot better. So from there, you get a weighted
The BDE
grade.
was flowing. You were like, I should have been better than that.
Yeah, it was. Like, can I talk to the test makers?
You should talk to my wife.
They got that wrong, too.
She upgraded that score.
Yeah, and at the time,
I am very impressive.
not my wife at the time.
Not yet.
Still in the courting
Not yet.
phase.
You're courting.
So from there, you get the weighted scores, and they eventually send the list out saying your number, whatever. And I was high enough to be put through with the first batch of processing, to which they do a psychological test, a polygraph test, and then from there, they would do a physical and a background check and all that. So start to finish, I got very lucky. The whole process for me, I think, took under a year, which is relatively fast at the time.
Do you ever consider like your outlook on it? Do you ever consider like, look, at this day and age, it's almost counteractive or counterintuitive to say I'm humble, you know. But do you ever take like that's like the timing, your age, your upbringing to be like, I was actually luckier than most, you know, like.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of those most might only took 3 months. I don't know. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying, do you ever think about that? Like, there's like that process in your head to like say something like that. Like, I'm luckier than most, you know? Do you have fact finding behind that?
No.
Like, maybe you're not.
No, for sure. Because
maybe now it's much easier.
Well, at this point,
it's a perspective thing, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it would be fair to say it's easier per se right now.
Yeah.
However, many departments statewide, nationwide, are looking for candidates, and they're not getting enough.
Yeah, I've heard, and that's on both sides, right? Police and fire. It's not just
it's in my knowledge, it's even worse for police right now. It's a very hard time to be a police officer.
It's just a weird question, but like, you know, our family has a lot of police and a lot of fire attached to it in one way or another. It's like, do you ever have that thought? It's hard because you're in the fire seat. You know, it's like, do you ever have that thought like, fuck those guys' jobs? That would suck. like.
No. I know what you're saying, and I think most people would. However,
it's a different world now.
I think maybe out of pure respect for that job, and I hold it in such high regard. Best friend's a police officer, right?
Right.
Many very good friends are police officers. It's a necessity, and maybe not to go too far into it, but like, they. I don't know if I envy them because of what they're going through, because they can't do anything that's not scrutinized, right or wrong. They have constant camera on them, on their body, recording everything. You can't chew a piece of gum without everyone knowing it.
Yeah.
It's tough.
There's some fucking dumbasses out there.
There's
some
some
dumbasses.
Well, and
a lot of police departments out there.
And we're in that phase too, where people they need candidates.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was always a joke when you were going to college, like, hey, the C's and D's get degrees too, you know, or you're going to some doctor, like, this guy's a clown. Well, guess what? Yeah, someone was the valedictorian of the class. Someone was also the last student that barely passed, and he's a doctor too.
That happened.
It does. It happens everywhere.
Yeah.
And
yep, there's some dudes that have no mental business being around the thing, and there are some amazing human beings that are protecting the streets every day.
And
every town,
care and don't care.
Everywhere.
I know. And same for us. Some care and don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Not to get too far into my like view on that, I hear often a lot now, like, oh, he's a good guy. Yeah, I love good guys. They're great.
Everybody loves a good guy.
I said,
if you don't love a good guy, you can go fuck yourself.
Right. I got no spot for you. Like, hey, he'll help you lay some shingles. Great.
Yeah, no shit.
I said,
shirt off your back guy.
But at work, I need you to be a good work.
I need you to be better than a good guy.
Right?
Next level shit.
I know he really messed up, but he's a good guy. I'm like, right?
Different standards
Yeah.
for different situations.
Yeah. So
that's the problem. Everything's nuanced. Everything's nuanced, and not a lot of people have time for nuance. It's just really, you don't. But people don't have it based on need. Some people don't have time for nuance based on because they don't give a fuck about your nuance.
Right.
They are black and white.
Right.
I think you and I, a lot of time for gray and nuance, and can have a 8-hour discussion on it. I think we both see a lot of different factors and things that go into all this stuff. But yeah, it's hard to kind of paint with one brush right now. But yeah, you know, it's like, I just need more out of you if you're wearing the uniform.
I get something.
Doesn't matter what color.
Something.
Is it blue? Is it white? Is it red? I don't give a shit about
Right.
your uniform color. I need you to be on top of your fucking game so we can get shit done.
Right.
Like there's shit at stake that's bigger than you and I right now. So I need you to put all your shit behind you and make sure that shit's focused on and being finished and being done with integrity.
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. But yeah, that brings us back to like the whole journey, right? So you get there. You're like, sure, we've been talking a lot, but we're still young here.
Yeah.
We're still young.
I was 26 when I got hired. And like looking back, I'm like, man, if I would have got that other test, I would have been
Do you ever think like
24 and a
fuck,
half.
I should have been 22. I should have got in here at 22.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Because some do, right? I mean, some of those guys were 22, 21 when they started.
Yeah, we got a good handful that were 21s, 22s. On the opposite side, we had a good handful that were at the max age when they started.
Oh, really?
35.
What's the max? 35.
35.
It's fucking president. All right.
Right?
It's fucking president, dude. You and the president have the same criteria they have to meet.
Firefighter,
Do you have to
cop,
be American?
president.
From America?
America. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah. Whatever. Close
Dude,
enough.
if you're gonna head down in that building, I'm good with you.
So,
I mean, hey, if you're ready, I'm okay with you being from another country. I don't know.
right? But
If you're ready,
like 35 is fine, but the max is 30 years in. If you do max, you're a 65-year-old. Like that is young for sure, right?
yeah,
But for a public servant, I don't think that's
different.
a sprite. Now it's different
Completely
if you're
different.
admin, front office, chief, high level. That's
Again,
different.
There's nuances.
Subtle.
There's things to talk about.
Nuances.
Yes,
That could be our band name, the nuances. Subtle.
it's got to be taken.
Subtle nuances. I bet it's
gotta
not.
be taken.
You better Google that when I go on a
We'll
rant.
figure it out.
Subtle nuances.
We'll figure it out.
But no, like back to the whole test thing. I got lucky, so I scored very high on the test. Was placed very high. Got called very quickly. So
wait, your place, your how high you scored on the test dictates how.
dictates. Then they put a chronological list out that Joe Bobby scored this and this. He's number 1, then 2, 3, 4. So then they would go down the list, this board of fire and police commissioners, and be like, number 1, yeah, we like him. Put him through. Number
And
2,
that's a conglomerate of your physical, your mental test, your application, your last name, maybe even.
yes.
you
So the final piece is that they say yes, then you go to get your physical. And it wouldn't have affected me, but the group of guys I got processed with after we had the thumbs up to get our physicals, the number 1 guy, and I won't say his name so no one gets in
they
trouble.
ranked him. You knew.
Well, he was
told
number 1 on the list.
They were like,
Well, we know because he
Nate, you're good, but fucking Dan's been
we
killing
said,
it for a while.
Where is this guy?
Yeah.
They said, well, part of the testing is a drug test, of which was generally blood draw and a hair sample. He could not provide a hair sample.
He's bald.
Everything. He shaved his eyebrows,
Yeah.
his head, everything.
You probably think from.
So they said, guess what? You're out.
Really?
That was it.
Just like that.
That was it.
Number 1 recruit.
Gone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
So, but back then, there was no questions asked.
I'm sitting here waiting for the money shot. So this is your class, basically.
Mhm.
So then what happens? Then now
They send you.
Johnny got the boot.
Johnny got the
And
boot.
how many more guys are we looking at? And how do you when do you know that you're even like kind of a shoo-in at this point? Like
That we didn't know. So I remember sitting at my desk in Chicago and
CPA counting the shit out of this.
CPA and wannabe in.
Just counting shit.
Call from some number. And it's like, hey, Nathan. I'm like,
Nathaniel.
it's only my mom calls me that, so this is official. This is City of Joliet. We'd like to offer you a job. Congratulations. Call was a message. Call us back. So yeah, I'm like, hey, thank you very much. Calling you back. They're like, we'd like to offer you a job. I'm like, I will take it. Unequivocally take it.
Didn't even think.
She's like,
Yeah, I'll take it.
we need you to start in 2 days.
Start what?
Yeah, the
Start
job.
what though?
You start
Training?
in 2 days.
Start
Yeah.
training in 2 days. All right. Well,
Downtown.
Here, let's recreate the moment. Ding, 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 ding. They fucking rang the Joliet the fire department bell for Nate Kren. You're on the team now.
Well, and it's funny you say
About
that
to start training.
because
Just a little bit of stag.
just a little bit. So at the time in accounting, I was working at the Aon Center. For people that are familiar with Chicago, it's one of the biggest ones right by the Bean. But in their lobby, they have 10 times the size of regular gongs, and on each gong is a mallet.
Seems racist, but
And
okay.
you can swing the mallet up, and it
Right.
will hit the gong. Well, I swung the shit out of those mallets, dude.
So wait, why did you swing the mallet?
Boom.
For what? Why were you entitled to swing the mallet?
I don't know.
What'd you do?
I
You counted the right numbers? Or you're like, I got a different job. Fuck you guys.
I reached my next goal.
Hell yeah.
The next
All right.
goal.
I thought you were
cheers-
going to say
cheers
like
to goals.
I thought you were going to say something about like Matthew McConaughey. It was like those are rookie numbers. You got to drive those numbers up.
You got to pump those
Yeah,
numbers
you gotta
up.
pump those numbers up. That was our moment of recreating him getting his job
Yeah.
that he now holds. In case you're worried about me spoiling the mystery.
No. So to add to that,
him getting this job is half of the reason that I would thought he'd be a fun talk to, but turns out didn't even need that part of the
Didn't
job
even
to
need it.
have a good talk with you.
well, now it gets wild.
Yeah, because like you're not just a fireman anymore. I'm like, hey, I know everybody knows firemen. I know 20 firemen. This guy knows firemen. Like, you're a fireman plus. That's what I would call you if I had to be ignorant and be like, yeah, no, like Nate's a fireman. Like that's like his official job on his 401k or whatever. But like, he also has some plus things. I only know about plus civil service because I'm lucky enough to be related to by marriage a one Matthew Lieberman.
Mm-hmm.
One Matthew Lieberman takes his job very seriously, but in like the best possible way.
Yeah.
You know
Great,
how it is.
Great guy.
You find some tryhards. You find some dudes that you're just like, this guy fucking takes his job way too serious. But Matt's like, yeah, maybe if I'm gonna be this position, I'm not gonna be a piece of shit. I'm not gonna let my body go to waste. I mean, like 45. When I think he's 44, 45, and still coming in like second in like overall fucking testing, like
Running the marathon. He's running
dude.
Chicago Marathon.
Yeah, well, I share Apple Watch data with him, so I get the cruel reminder every weekend that he just ran 21 miles for no reason.
He's insane.
Yeah.
He's insane.
He's an absolute savage.
Yep.
Not built like you thought. not the big, tall, strapping guy.
built for speed, man. He's built for speed.
Dude's built for speed. He's built for comfort. He's built for work. That's what.
Yeah.
He's built for work, and I think that's kind of almost the preface of what I wanted to talk to you about. Anyway, it was just like the mentality, the approach. Like it's a profession. It's a job. Yes, you do need to be a little bit more to have that title of. Let's strip it down to fireman. I'm a fireman. Yeah, you gotta have a little more in the tank to be a fireman.
Yeah.
But there's levels to this shit, just like there's levels to everything else.
Yeah.
You can be a fireman and just be a fireman.
You can.
Yeah, but you can be a fireman and you can be. I hate that.
Fireman.
I'm not gonna fucking pump your. I'm not gonna pump your head up. I'm not gonna be like, you can be a fucking legend. Like, but you. There's shit you can accomplish. There's shit that you can drive for. There's shit you can strive for. There's shit that you can kind of address as like, yeah, I'm gonna be the best at this. Like I'm gonna be as good as I can be at this. And there's opportunities for you to do that. So I mean, let's start from the beginning. Why not? We've done this for the entire conversation. We might as well stay there. So you got on. You're like, was that enough? Is that enough? Like, hey, I got on. I'm good. I'm a fireman now.
No, so I was fortunate enough that at the time, not many departments, you had to have no qualifications other than live in the city of Joliet, have no previous record, and pass the background check, which now is they look at your credit report. They look at all this other stuff that would maybe deem you unfitted to be for the job. So there was a time where you had to be a paramedic to get hired. I was from before that time where they would send you to be a paramedic. So you go to the fire academy, which is 8 weeks. And at the time, before I was there, Joliet would have their own fire academies. I went to...
So you're saying it got stricter over time? Or no?
Yeah,
am I misunderstanding?
It did.
Okay.
It's a weird train of up and down. But if
it's like at the time, it was almost like we will send you because you have the potential to be that, and now it's like you're required.
Yeah,
you're required to go.
Everyone has to go to the academy regardless.
Okay.
So if there were more than X amount of hires, Joliet would host their own, right? If there were less, then you would go to an academy. So we only had 6 recruits. We went to Oak Lawn, which at the time, and I will still say it and fight anybody for it, that Oak Lawn was considered like the best of the best academies, from what I understand.
There's some bad motherfuckers out there.
It was hardcore back then. There was physical.
I don't want to punch into your story, but may I borrow a anti-hero?
Absolutely.
If you got one over there. Because I just made a mental decision. I looked at this and I said, "Yeah, do I go with a 9% double IPA, or do I maybe I tone it back?
I don't want that.
I don't want to drop dead during the conversation.
Just hit play.
Sorry. So yeah, Oak Lawn, top notch.
Oak Lawn. I'm like, well, I said I want to when there's classroom portion and there's practical portion, hands-on, burn towers, evolutions, all that good stuff. I'm like, well,
you say that like all that good stuff. There's nobody listening to this is gonna be like, oh yeah, I know that. I know about that burn towers. Like, how can you dumb that down? Be like, yeah, this is like standard shit we deal with.
Yeah, so they take the premise that you don't know anything, right? And some people don't, some people did. So they start you at ground level. You know, wow, like a
make sure that
crawl,
foundation
walk,
doesn't burn.
run thing.
Make sure that foundation stays clean.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it starts with, fire science, like learning to put your air pack on, and then putting you in front of fire in an air pack and working the ins and outs. And then all of a sudden, no fire, it's so dark you can't see, you're crawling. Then orientating yourself, and then bringing a hose in. Now laddering. You build up to the skill set that you have to be a competent, employee. And all it means, well, you're still doing classroom portion because the state requires certain tests be passed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. That was 8 weeks. But what I liked about it was, like, they always said that you're in the fire service. It's a quote unquote paramilitary organization where there's a rank and file. There's a superior above you. I like that. I enjoyed that. So they did PT like, every morning.
Pinterest inspo.
Yeah, right.
Like I thought about going neutral in my family room, but like,
right,
like we decided that maybe the Marines were we wanted to model ourselves after.
Something just like that. We're kind of like that, but not. And I dug that. My whole family went to the military. I was the only one that didn't. Like the generations. Which would turn out to be one of my probably 2 regrets of my whole life. That's a whole nother story.
You do have military vibes. I mean, look at your fucking whole outfit right now.
Well, this the olive drab. The olive drab is in at Dick's, so it was easy to buy.
No, but you do. You have like a good, like a very calculated regimen, but also not like, God, this fucking guy won't go away. Like, you have that like I can talk to this guy. I can relate to this guy. Like, this guy likes music. He likes fucking Metallica, fucking whiskey. He like, he likes, but he also likes olive drab. He likes Little Order. He likes to know what's fucking coming. He likes to plan for shit. Like,
Is there so much wrong to have a spreadsheet?
No. You're a guy that a lot of people would be like, God, I wish I could take some time management classes from this guy.
No.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah.
So with that academy, you do it their way, right? There's a book way, but that was always the ongoing joke is you'll learn the way to do it, and then when you're done, you go back to Joliet and learn the Joliet way.
You're like, but I'm a fucking rebel.
Yeah, I'm like, I want to do it that way, I'm gonna do this myself. So it's all the same, but like the goal was, I always wanted to be at the top of the class, and everything we do is there's rankings. Everything we gear toward, there's a ranking for the next thing.
And they're communicating that regularly.
They are.
Are you diving in? You're like, hey, fucking Dan, you got the access. What am I 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, like where are we at? And it's I was young. I mean, this is almost 20 years ago, right? So I am a little more aggressive, and I want these. I want to be number one.
Yeah. Okay.
So you do that. Go back home to Joliet Fire Department. Go through their stuff. No rankings there. You're just kind of learning the ins and outs. But then it was paramedic school. So everyone is a paramedic, right? And a firefighter. Well, also a ranking system there. And they called number one, you would receive an award called the Golden Stethoscope.
Jesus Christ. Dude.
And once they said that, I said,
you fucking hear heartbeats better than everyone.
I want that. I want that Golden Stethoscope. That's all I want. So
this is why I love these conversations, because you're telling me about it, and I'm like, I don't give a shit about that. That's
dude.
But I understand the weight of it.
That's all I wanted.
I can comprehend the weight of it, but also put myself in there. Like I told you earlier, like everything's self-centric. Everything's fucking maybe that's just me. I'm just sticking myself in there. And what the fuck do I care about this Golden Stethoscope? And the fact that you think like that makes me go, damn, this dude's fucking real deal. Like, this guy's fucking real deal. He wants that fucking stethoscope. He doesn't
and I don't know. I mean, it's just part of me.
Pry it out of your cold dead hands.
Like, I don't care. Like, I'll take it. Yeah. Not to downplay the fact that was more based off the test scores. Now, I know people that test okay, and they're the best hands-on people ever, right? Because it also comes to a point where you're good on paper in the classroom, but just like the cages, right? Kid hits the ball off the tee like a missile, but
oh shit, baseball was like 3 hours ago, dude.
But that's,
I can't comprehend.
That's the correlation,
No,
so same,
totally.
So
well done.
I'm not
well done on your
I'm
part.
not downplaying.
Well done on your part to bring it back to the cages.
Yeah,
yeah. The numbers are floating around your face, and you're pulling
right.
them all in. Timing's impeccable.
Sometimes.
Perfect.
So I did not win the Golden Stethoscope.
Yeah,
and I was
not that good.
Very disappointed. But you know what second place is? It's first loser. So
yeah, well, that's
maybe
what Ricky Bobby tell you,
right? That's the best.
Share my last name.
So
Ricky Bobby tell you
once you're done with paramedic school, then you're full in, and that's kind of when the career really begins. So
can I ask dumb questions?
Yes.
This is dumb.
Spitfire.
Dumb question here. Is it all right? Whatever. I'll ask the question straight out. Why are you a fireman and a paramedic? Like, is that required? Is there everywhere you go when you want to be a fireman? Are you a paramedic as well? I have video now, so when I do these quotation marks, people can see it.
Oh, yeah.
I used to do these a lot during the audio podcast,
but no one would see them.
And I have to like say it out loud. Be like, well, I did quote air quote marks.
Quote.
Yeah. So it like the. Look, dude, I'm not gonna be like, well, you're basically a doctor, but like, there's some things that you guys have to know. It's quick, high pressure. Like, I have to have answers for you and I have to react pretty quick.
Yeah, some stuff for sure.
You're like emergency room physicians or nurses at this point. So, what is that like? Like, if you want to be a fireman, can you not be a fireman if you have don't want to do anything with medical.
There
You know what I
are
mean?
a few departments, yes, that still have that, but generally most people they're firefighter paramedics together because
Because I'm like, hey, I might have met a dude that'll run into a fire with his head down, but that dude also might like piss his pants if there's somebody's bleeding.
Yeah.
Like
well, and there's a time
So
like
how do they separate that? How do you do that?
as your career progresses, you can
You
put
know what you
yourself-
know. What does Joliet do with that? Like,
Yeah.
eh?
There on the other side of it, there's people that love the paramedic side and not so much the fire side. So they will gravitate more towards being in an ambulance for their whole career, which is
Is that
fine.
a choice or is that like a test or is that like
That is a choice. So I mean, there is a progression
okay?
as you move throughout, but there's also the opportunity to either
When you
stay-
say on or on a truck, like on an engine, that means they're driving it. Okay.
So we have like a bid system, if you will, that if you were on this engine and you retired, they're going to go to the guy right below you. Hey, do you want Joe's spot? No. Next guy, you want Joe's spot? No. Some guy be like, well, yeah, I want Joe's spot. No, that guy's spot's open. I'm like, well, he was on an ambulance. You want that spot? Yes. No. It goes
They
around.
can't
So
fill these shoes.
you can't. Some shoes are unfillable.
These
Absolutely.
size 9s aren't getting filled.
Absolutely not.
These size-
Absolutely not.
You can't get in these size 9s.
So
Anyways.
yeah, you find yourself. I mean, I guess kind of by timing and everything, where you can be and how your career moves. But then there's also promotional testing. If you want to be a lieutenant or move up to captain or try to be a chief, there's all that too.
Does that progression change based on towns and cities as far as you know? Like Joliet, the same as Bolingbrook, is the same as Naperville, is the same as like, or is it
Generally
military
speaking-
inspired?
generally
Like, is
speaking,
it
yeah.
all based on military ranking? Or is
Some places won't
like,
have.
where's the quartermaster come in? Like,
Right.
What's
You
he
need
doing?
that.
Who's the guy that sews shit?
Right.
Who's the guys ordering uniforms?
So like we have a guy that kind of handles all the materials and tools like that, like which would technically be the quartermaster. It's like a stipend position,
but he's not technically called that.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't really have a.
We're not like, hey, fucking John, you're the pussy that's like fabric.
Yeah, like you're really good. You're really good,
at making
seamstress.
sure.
You're really
Yeah.
good seamstress.
Nobody makes my whites as white as you do.
I'll tell you what though, that's a pretty good
That's
skill.
a fucking
though.
skill, right? Yeah.
Like you meet someone that can
100%.
iron well,
I love that you said that. Like that's
laundering.
full show a skill.
Some people are good at laundering.
I don't know about
Right?
that. All right.
I do.
Now you're just being sexist. But
I don't know.
anyway. But
I launder
that whole like that's the thing though, right?
clothes.
We talked about this.
I launder clothes.
You do so many things. Like we're not even gonna. There's no way we could fit this into the time to make it even feasible for a podcast. But like we connected much more on like levels like, oh, your smoking routine, your not smoking cigarettes, not cigars, like your smoking meats routine, your flat top routine, your whatever it is, like grilling meats, like anything you would think of that makes like a person, just like hobbies, things that outside of this is my day to day, this is my work, this is my wife, this is my kids, like things that make Nate. Like I wanted a fucking pizza oven. I like to cold ferment a dough. Like there's hours and hours in thoughts to cover, but like again, I will admit my first initial thing was like, hey, Nate's on like the SWAT section of his fire department. Like that's got to be a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be fun. That's got to be something not
Yeah.
fun, but like super strenuous and stressful and like mentally preparing for something like that. And instead we spent 3+ hours on college baseball, whatever it was, getting to where we're going. But the fire department in itself, it's like, all right, sure. There's like a base. You got in, you did your thing. I like both the paramedic side of it and the fire science side of it. Now, what's our next progression step?
Yeah.
And how many people like that you're around? This isn't a small city. I mean, it is. If it's not Chicago, but it's also 100,000 plus human beings living in this city. It's a weird map. It's all over the place. It connects in the weirdest places in the world. That's Joliet city limits, you know. So you guys deal with a lot of shit, and then there's a whole nother level of this, like, all right, so you are in station 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is, but then now you're also like a medic for the SWAT team. So how did you even like think that you were going to be a part of that?
So like when you're hired, they're like, hey, we have X amount of special teams, and it's like, well, there's
punt
a
block, that's kick return,
quick return,
yes. Special teams.
Yep. Yeah, the special team, and there's a dive team, there's an arson team, there's a rescue team, like high angles, ropes. There is, there's like a pipes and drum, like there's, you know.
Shout out Brian Plyer.
Yeah. Which.
What's up, neighbor?
Where? You got a pipe and drummer? You got a piper?
Brian Plyer lives like right around the corner. Yeah.
You know who else is on that team now? You're looking at him.
Oh, what are you playing?
Learning the bagpipes.
No.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Add it.
God damn it. Can you breeze over this? Because this will take another 2 hours. Just pretend you didn't say that. Keep moving.
Yeah, and then SWAT, or what in the Joliet calls SOS, Special Operations Team. So, just to me, it was like, I'd be like anybody else at first. You see the movies, you see this, and like, oh, you know, guys, you know, SWAT teams are awesome. It's fun. It's cool, right? Like,
yeah, dude,
they look badass, right?
The shit out of people.
So, right?
So dude, there's a fucking bomb. I got it.
Yeah. So, when you hear like, oh, they have medics too, I'm like, wow, that'd be pretty cool. So I'm like, well, I'd like to do that, you know. And then I've always positioned myself on this department that I've been on very busy ambulances that see certain calls that I'm like, well, my skill set would be appropriate to be on that team. And it took 3 application periods for me to actually get on it finally. Call it.
Do you suck?
Maybe
Is that what you're telling
someone thought I sucked or wasn't
3
good enough.
times?
Yeah, I know, right? But I was like, I'm not going to take no for an answer. So I just kept at it.
Plug away.
So I finally got it, which is cool because a lot of the people that are on it are good friends, and then seeing that whole side of it, you know. And there's only so much you can talk about with doing it, but. You are right. The first time you go on something, you're like, man, like the brevity of the situation is like, man, shit could hit the fan here real quick. And if it does, what are we gonna do?
Do you go in there thinking that though? You don't. You don't.
No, and it changes. No, you don't. But you have a plan.
But as they put you on that assignment, you were like, shit could go anywhere. But like if you're in a situation where you're like, hey, like. How does it work? Are you on call, or are you like,
right? So
how do they?
Sometimes it changes.
Time gap where you're like, the next 8 hours could change my life. Jill's like, I got pork chops in the oven. You're like, well, somebody's head could be.
I gotta go.
You got Batman shit.
It's changed now. The way
I have to do this.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
It's changed a little bit, I think, because in order to get to that, where a SWAT team is being activated, there has to be so many things that happen, right? So once that ball gets rolling, there is kind of a timeline where you know it may or may not happen, because the times have changed, and all the I's have to be dotted and the T's crossed.
Okay.
To activate that level.
You're the guy for that. The CPA guy.
Yeah, but like, yeah, well, and part of that, you know, the planning phase. So like you're saying, you never say like, hey, when someone, you plan for the what. I mean, the police and fire are, for lack of better, I guess, analogies, are like almost insurance, right? Like, you don't have a fire engine standing by in case your house burns. It's there when you need it, right? So, it's kind of the same thing. You gotta, if it happens, it's ready to go. So the planning that goes into it, the what if, right? So if this happens, here's what we're doing. And if that doesn't, here's plan B, plan C, plan D. So it is fun and I love it to be part of it. Like
It's motivating in a way, like in a weird way.
It is.
You don't want it to be like, oh, I'm motivated by that. Like, you're good at what you do no matter what. But this is like another. It's like another accelerator in that level. Like,
it's
this. I'm proud of this. Like,
they're like you're kind of saying like the oh shit moments. I don't know, maybe because of preparation and training.
Yeah, it's nice to know that your brain is separated from others.
The best story I could probably tell without like names or details,
without fucking up the whole thing,
was we as SWAT medics, and there's a team of us, right, that are on this team or qualified to be on the team, took on a new assignment, and it was our first time working with this new group. So it was one of those where it was like last minute, here we go. We got to go. We're going now. And they're like, you're with us. Hop in this van, like 18 passenger van.
It's like a little chaos.
Chaos. We got to go now. Hop in the van. There's 15 guys in this van. Like, okay, when we get here, we're gonna haul ass to the
strap in bucko
to the Delta side of the building, and like they're like, stay on my back, stay with me. So we get to where the target is, door swings open, we all run out, right, hauling ass in a line, get to the side of the building, like, oh wait, post up here, post up here, post up here. If this happens, we need you to do this. I'm like, okay, and they're like, wait a second, they're like, where's your gun? I was like, I don't
have one.
I said, I don't have one. I'm the medic. They're like, why not? They're like, shit.
No, dude. Honestly, I like guns. I just don't have one because legally I can't have one.
Like, all right, I don't know. So I'm like, that was like the, oh my god, we got to change how we do some things, and which the team has evolved and it's different now the way we do it, but. It was fantastic. Like to see the guy's look, he's like,
nah, dude. But in this situation, I'd totally have a gun normally.
Yeah,
but
I'll just, I'll
due to regulatory issues, I did not have a gun.
Like, oh, what? He's like, what? All right, never mind.
What the fuck?
Yeah, like, you gotta be kidding me.
Sure, you can do a tracheotomy, but
yeah, like,
but like, can you shoot someone if I need you to? Like.
So that was
ASMR testing? Because we got ASMR testing right now.
This one might be too hazy.
Yeah, it's too hazy for you. I knew when I poured it, but
I'll finish it.
You were struggling. I didn't want you to have to go down and get one. I wanted to open one, but I didn't want 16 ounces. So
I'll finish it because that's what I do.
Appreciate you.
And I'm gonna try and finish it quicker than anybody else has ever finished it. Because that's
well, we don't have to go that far, but appreciate that about you.
No, so that's the whole SWAT thing or whatever is cool because I think I said earlier, like one of my bigger regrets is I wish I would have put some time in. It's like served my country.
I get it. But when did that hit you? Like,
well, and that was kind of the full circle for.
Was it too late? Was it one of those like?
Kind of ish. That when we touched on how I was like, I'm gonna be a cop or a fireman. It was that same year. That was 2001 before I graduated. And that's when it really resonated that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be a firefighter. Like, I remember exactly where I was 9/11 when all that shit went down and seeing it. I'm like, oh, I'll finish this accounting thing, but like, I want to be a firefighter. I want to do something that actually matters. I'm not saying accounting doesn't matter, but I want to do something. Like, I want to provide.
Matter. No, you were right. No, it definitely matters.
You just lost 1,000.
That's where most people go to jail. That's where most people go to jail now. Yeah. Figure that shit out.
Yeah.
Get a good accountant.
Right. So that was kind of full circle for everything. I'm like, I wish I had done more, for my country, other than go play baseball and then become a firefighter and an accountant.
I get that. Become a hero. Whatever.
Whatever.
No, but that's a perspective on it, right? Like, I wish I would have done more. Like, again, I told you earlier, it's hard for me to relate to those kind of thoughts because I didn't I would never have had that thought. I feel bad about it, but I don't feel that bad about it because I'm just like, yeah, look at me. I'm 5'6". Don't really intimidate anybody. I don't have any conflict in my bones. I'm kind of like, what am I going to do? Am I gonna go?
You're doing it.
You gonna send me overseas? You gonna send me overseas? Like my college roommate was a mirror image of me, but he was from fucking Bremen. He was from Posen, Illinois, and the dude was the biggest savage you ever met. He is still 41 years into this. His spins around the planet. That man is still. I think he's like the head trainer, and like it doesn't matter. He's been in Germany, Poland, Japan. He's been training soldiers for the U.S. military for the last 20 plus years. When he left, when he was 17, he looked at me and he said, "I'm gonna do this for like 3 or 4 years, pay for my college, and we'll be back to doing what we do." Well,
Fast forward
to 2024. My man is still in. He might be in Texas right now. I think he's actually in Texas, but one of the best human beings I've ever met. He's 5'6". Just got that fucking hammer of an attitude.
Yeah.
Does not give a fuck.
So is he contracted to the government, or is he?
He's U.S. Army.
He's Army.
He's
He's
U.S.
Army.
He's just one of those guys. You walk up.
Well, good for him.
You're talking like sophomore year of college on the party bus at Western Illinois. Like we're gonna drive you from the square that has the 9 bars everybody goes to your dormitories. Again, look at me, current state, size wise, mentality. Walk into a bus, it's like these guys are messing with you. He would punch your fucking lights out. Does not care. From
Punch
Posen,
right through this
Illinois.
butt. I don't care.
Posen, Illinois. If anybody knows where Posen, Illinois is, that's the kind of mentality he's bred. But at this point, he's 40-something years old, raised the best bunch of kids. He's still in the military, does the thing. It's the best decision he ever made. But he looked at me, the one, when he was 17, he was like, or 18, he was like, I don't know if I should do this. I'm like, dude, if anybody can do this, it's you.
Right.
Like you have the mentality of like, I don't care. I will take care of business. Doesn't matter what it takes.
Good for him.
Moving on.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And that's the kind of like special mentality that most people don't appreciate nowadays, I guess. That's kind of my thought on the whole situation is he's not that kind of aggressive like America, that's what is it. I'm a military baby. He did it. He enjoyed his time there training people, and he said, all right, I'm going to fight for my country. I'm going to do what's right, and I'm going to tip my hat to everybody. But he's not like this aggressive, like fucking red state combative guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm imagining you coming from a state like Illinois in the suburbs outside of Chicago. It's not like you were some born and bred like farmer that was like, oh, I'm going to be a red state guy. Like, I'm going to be this kind of situation. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, the more you look at it, the more just kind of like common sense. Just be where you're at.
Right.
And do the right thing. It's kind of.
Well, common sense.
Yeah.
Long way. Goes a long way.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have it.
Yeah. It's not about like, well, I don't like what you're doing. I don't like what you stand for. It's more like, yeah. I mean, just I'm trying to do what's necessary of me in the moment in my role. Like this is my role. This is what I'm expected of, and I'm gonna go ahead and fulfill my kind of duty almost. Maybe for you guys as a Joliet fireman, you might get called to something, right? You might get called to something that you never heard of, you never seen, you never expected. But you're like, all right, I got to block everything else out. I'm going to fulfill my role.
I'd say those not to sound like, it could be a table full of firemen sitting around like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, right.
But those
get jaded.
You do. Those are to me, I think saying the best one is the wrong way to say it, but the one that actually makes you think.
Yeah.
Like okay, everyone has run the same call or this call. Okay, well, all right, well, your furnace is leaking. CO, gotta turn it. Let's okay, but like where you actually use like your intellect, I'm like that's where it's at. Like I can actually
Gotta do a little
troubleshooting,
Yeah.
like truly troubleshooting. I'm like that's to not sound too like lame. And this is what the Chiefs told us, like the day when you got hired. Like every person that calls 911, it's their worst day, right?
Yeah.
You may have done that 1 million times. You don't care, but to
They
them,
could not be in a worse
Right.
situation, basically.
yeah.
when
So
they're
to
contacting
figure something out or to solve or to mitigate that problem, like that's cool. That's the cool thing, and that's the other cool thing. Just when you think it might get boring or monotonous, there's always a curveball that you got your glasses off and you can't see the seams.
Yeah, I mean, it's so complicated. It's so many factors going into it. But to just be like, all right, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be at the ready. And then when the situation is going to be, the information is all going to be kind of laid out for me. And then I'm going to react. Like, how hard is it to kind of put yourself in that position? Because I say most, 99.9% of people don't have to deal with that. Where it's like, I'm going to lay out the position for you, and you got about 28 seconds to react. Like,
See, to me,
not normal.
Yeah, to me, that's the fun part of it. There is a basic script to everything, right?
Yeah. They laid out some standards.
If water's leaking,
we aren't the first ones.
Right?
We aren't the first.
And if you go back to the old school guys, they'd be like, it is pretty simple. Like if something's burning, you put water on it. Like yeah, to an extent. If there's this, you do this. And same with being a medic. Like if there's this issue, if you're bleeding, you got to stop the bleeding, right? I mean, however,
medicine.
There are circumstances that deviate from the normal. Those, like I was saying, you got to figure it out. And I equate it to that. You drive down the street and there's a water main break. Like there's a water main break, waiting for the street department to come fix it. The water department, like they'll fix it eventually, right? They'll get to it
Eventually.
Or maybe there's a bigger one they got to fix. They'll come back to that one. There is none of that. Police and fire, right? If there's this emergency, you need to go and fix that, finish, and move on to the next one. I guess I've never looked at it any way other than that. Like there is no saying we can't do this because you have to figure it out.
All right, weird question. Like, did they have a structured program where they're like, okay, well, 0.8 seconds to respond to this? Like, sure, they might have it like call hits 911 at this time, you respond by this time, but like, what do you guys do metrics wise? Like, what are you upholding to? Like,
that's actually a great question.
Is that something that like who's concerned about that?
Yeah,
like, you and your level, or is that like what level of leadership is like? God, Nate, we gotta get these guys. Like, they're not responding fast enough to calls, or we're not treating fast enough. Like
that's top. That's top level for sure. And there is a time frame, and then a metric they look at, and it is driven by grants. So
that makes me sad.
Well,
no, I get it. I'm not trying to shit on the whole thing. I'm just saying like that.
It helps to be like,
sucks, also you need to have that information. You need to get that data.
Yeah.
You need to make sure, like, hey, well, this can be better for people if we know that the timing is such and such.
Yeah.
But it also sucks to be like, God damn, you guys are being driven by how fast did you do this? How
it is like someone's always
do that. Yeah.
Watching, timing, everything.
Yeah.
From when the call comes in to when the call goes out to when you initially respond is a huge thing. But like, think of it, if there's an emergency right now and you call, like you don't care about the metric. You want someone there ASAP.
Yeah. Well, if you're the human that's calling, you don't give a fuck.
Right, but there's a system that you call, okay, then they put it in dispatch, and then they call it out or tone it out. Then it has to go. Then they have to
Yeah.
And then
Can't
sometimes
put Tyreek Hill down face right on the
How
pavement.
about that? So
Ooh.
I was at a store today, and some guy was chatting me up saying, and I didn't look too much
like
into
Jewel? Like you were getting groceries?
it. Discount tire lobby. It's time for new tires for the van.
Jill's van?
Of
course.
He's like, hey,
God damn
I'm
it,
like,
Jill. You always need something.
riding those curbs.
So you're at Discount Tire.
He's like, hey, this Tyreek Hill thing. I'm like, yeah. Like, I
Wait,
didn't
why
look
did he
into
engage
it.
you?
I don't know.
Why did he look at you like this guy's fucking? He's got biceps.
I don't know.
I'm gonna talk to him.
I was wearing a sweatshirt, so that's not valid.
He's like, the guy looks jacked.
I'm
gonna talk to him.
I had a bear. He's an old timer. I had a Bears hat,
He's
and
like,
he's like,
Caleb Williams threw for 90 yards.
he's like, hey. I'm like, I'm like, yes.
He was
Hey, how about the Bears?
Begging you to talk.
I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh yeah, okay. I'm like, and he goes, hey, excuse me, not to bother you again, but he's like, hey, how about that Tyreek Hill thing? I'm like, yeah, that's something, huh? So I didn't look into the details, but said old timer talking to me said
Didn't look great.
he was driving 100 miles an hour with no license.
I may have heard that.
Then they're like, well, then they
no idea.
They did whatever. Then his buddy tried to stop, and they put him. I said, well, what is this buddy doing?
Calais Campbell, the future Hall of Famer, pulled over in his Bentley. What do you do with that if you're like a cop dealing with that? You're like, maybe at this point you realize I have a Hall of Fame receiver face down on the ground.
Maybe I don't.
And then a Hall of Fame defensive end pulls up in his Bentley, and he's like, "Hey, that's my friend. We're about to go to play a game."
They said Tyreek had
Don't
no
get me
license.
wrong.
He had no license.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. He may have fucked up all the way around, and they should have done everything they did to make sure that's protocol, whatever. But then you turn around, you're like, oh shit, here comes a Pro Bowl defensive end. He's like, hey man, let my friend up.
I did see his
You're
celebration.
like, yeah, but he was going 120, and he wanted us. He didn't want to give us his license. Like,
did he not want to give it, or did he not have a license?
I have no idea. I have not dug in.
My friend.
That's why I shouldn't be talking right now. I have no principles or anything to lay this conversation on. I know what I saw today through ESPN and the coverage of it, and I was like, oh, didn't look great for Tyreek Hill. He was just kind of like, he looked like he was 20 feet out of the stadium, and they decided to pull him over. But who knows? He could have been telling him to go fuck off, whatever it was. Doesn't matter. All that factors into like, you may have to see this one day. Like, doesn't matter if he's an NFL player. Doesn't matter if he's the fucking Bob Odenkirk coming through your, doesn't matter.
Well played.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Odenkirk.
Doesn't matter. Like, you may see him drive through one day and be like, oh, old Bob's swerving. Whatever,
Bob's
whatever it
hardcore.
is. Yeah.
I'd like to see Bob.
Yeah.
One day.
Bob will fucking hip flex you. He'll hip toss you right over.
What was that? What was that movie he was in? They're making a second one now where he's like really tough. No one knew it.
Are you talking about Walker, Texas Ranger? I don't know.
Might have been.
You seen Chuck
We're
Norris?
gonna go Chuck Norris.
You know Chuck Norris?
He's still got it.
Oh.
He's still got it after all
I
these
could see
years.
Bob Odenkirk starring in Under Siege Part 3.
Was it?
Doesn't matter.
They're making another one.
Doesn't
Nobody.
matter.
It's called Nobody.
God damn it.
It just came up.
It's called Taken 3.
Taken 3, 4. He takes himself.
Yeah. Liam Neeson. There's no end to Liam Neeson's skill.
What's going on?
Yeah.
Like, how many times can someone get taken?
Yeah. Well, his daughter figured it out eventually.
After you get taken the fourth time, you're on your own. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right?
All right. Let's wrap it up with that. I mean, you moved through the whole pantheon, right? You did the whole thing. Like, there's a lot of
you make me feel really important. By the way,
oh yeah, I knew when I was 12 I wanted to be a fireman. Like, you were like, I was gonna be a fucking accountant. I knew numbers. Like, that's what I was good at. And like, that's some reason I was like, I'm gonna be a fucking fireman.
Yeah,
sure, but at this point, you've taken what you're doing to another level. You know, like I just came in base. I wanted to be the cheapest one off the lot. And you're like, oh, yeah, well, I can do some things in this role to benefit. Is it overblown to say like society, but like my town, like, you know, I can do good for this area. So you have an opportunity to participate on things that qualify as SWAT team. Like, sure, what are you doing? Like, when do you get called in? When is this part of your normal shift, or is this like, hey, I'm on call this weekend? Like,
No, it's
like
it's a random. If it happens, it happens. There's no rhyme or reason. Generally, it's driven by the police side, right? Where there's a warrant, and depending on the warrant or what said person is doing, that drives the whole potential operation. So it's a roll of dice. It's a crapshoot.
how do you guys deal with that though? It's just like, well, I have a guy specifically that I check in with because this is an escalated situation.
No, we have communications that we send out, or whoever sends out, team leaders, and hey, stand by. This might happen. Okay, this is happening. Here we go. Meet here. Do this. Let's go. This is the time we're doing it at. Go. That's it. It's that simple.
So what if something happens? If something goes off the fucking rails, what's your role?
So, I am a medic, right? I am there to serve the operators, the police officers that are on the teams, right? We will be able to help and treat a victim, but there is a progression of who is prioritized 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in the unlikely and unfortunate event it ever happens, if a officer gets injured, we will treat the injuries accordingly. Depending on the injury, depends on how we treat, how we do the next process, how we get them to where they have to go. So there's a number of different ways to do it and how to do it. All depends on that exact situation. It's all fluid every time. There's no script, should I say.
All I can picture right now is you being this guy. Your fucking tank top, Tyreek Hill.
That's how you do a presser. Was that the post or the pre?
That's post, baby. That man has been arrested. He's caught an 80-yard touchdown, and now he's talking to the media afterwards.
Did you see a celebration?
Could you believe it? All right, real quick before we cut this whole thing off, because that's the next step. So, I feel like we're both. If there's one thing I had to be like, Nate and I are close on this, I would say raising children and the Bears. Like, I think we're both rational.
Those are pretty big ones.
All right, right?
Pretty big ones.
That's pretty.
Yeah.
I would take that. So to put a bow on this whole thing, pilot episode. We've been here since what 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. It's 10:30 right now.
You can't put a time.
Yeah. So
you know?
Caleb,
Yeah.
I have no issues with Caleb. I watched this weekend. I said, all right, I can work with this. There was points where I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
Why are we not up by 38 right now?
Yeah.
But that defense, I told Joseph, my son who's 11, I told him 3 or 4 days ago, I was like, hey, this team is not going to win games by offensive progression. They're going to win games on crazy defense and some special teams. And I thought this game pretty much summarized all that. Thoughts?
So,
And also George T. Stagg? No, just Stagg Jr.
I'm a diehard Bears fan. Right? Check.
Facts. Agreed. Same.
Season ticket holder. Check.
Not anymore. You sold them.
Well, I'm still the holder.
For now.
I'm still the said holder with a partner. I don't think Caleb Williams looked good at all.
I'm not mad at him. I'm not. I'm sorry. I really am not mad at him.
Haven't seen. I know it was the preseason.
I hated the sack. I hated that 19-yard sack that made me hurt, but
I don't know.
Front middle was bad.
It was very bad.
They were bad.
So I did expect.
I know.
I expected more.
It's hard to say.
I expected to see more. Yes. I did. The dude. The only
we're not Adam Schefter. We're not Rex Ryan. We're not those guys.
We're close. Got
but
3 phones.
God,
agents calling.
Damn
right
it!
now.
Was it hard to watch?
So he didn't even do the simple stuff. He looked bad. Right now, I'm gonna say
it looked tough.
First real NFL game as a rookie. There's gonna be growing pains. There's gonna be issues. That being said, he made more mistakes than I thought he'd make.
Yes. And
Okay.
I think the preseason was hard for us as Bears fans because they looked unstoppable.
Now it was so I'll chalk that up to preseason.
However,
like he still made first team progression against first team defenses.
Yes. So we had confidence. We had confidence going in.
Like maybe too much, but
He
that's
looked
typical Bears fan.
overwhelmed.
He did.
Nothing against him. I don't think that's a mark against him. I don't think that's like, oh, he'll never get there. This is just like, damn it. He fooled me into thinking that during preseason this was easy.
I think he's intelligent enough that he will make adjustments for sure.
I agree.
But I also think that the defense didn't look that great.
Not initially. No. They look rough initially. So nobody's talking about that. Right. Everybody's talking about they figured it out. Special teams, they did that. But they did not look good on defense.
There was no push in the front line that I thought there would be. Now I know what Montez Sweat was it a toe or something? He was questionable for.
He's a dog.
He is.
I have no issues with him.
He is, but it was still Tennessee.
Yeah, dude, their front line though, that's some scary dudes. Those dudes are big. Those are some big boys.
The neighbor came over today, and he's like, "Hey, the Bears." Yeah. I said, "I know we're gonna have all these negatives, all these not many pros, more cons." I go, but that being said, we still walked away with a win. Dude. I'm like, it could be a lot worse.
That special teams. Hands up.
Yeah, I don't want to have to rely on special teams.
Agreed. How about Adam and me and calling the game nationally or regionally, whatever it was, and then he called him Mr. Biles. He called Jonathan Owens Mr. Biles.
Well played, sir.
Oh,
well played.
I don't hate it, but I'm also like, damn. Why don't you just punch the guy in the face? Like, don't get me wrong. She is the greatest of all time.
That's
don't
what
get
you
me wrong.
Get.
But like. Shannon was like, my wife was sitting there watching with me, and she was like, "Oh, they're really bad, huh? They're not gonna win this game." And I was like, I'm like, he just recovered that ball, and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "That's Simone Biles' husband." And she was like, "Oh,
yeah."
She's like, "Oh, now I'm in. I'm bought in now." I'm like, all right, but to be the announcer on a nationally televised, regionally televised, to be like Mr. Biles. I was kind of
I think he would concede to it.
Oh, I have no doubt. I agree with you 100,000% on that, because I think watching Hard Knocks, I was kind of like, hey, this dude gets it. He's like, yeah, she
tells him what to do.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate what he's doing, because like, hey, what are you gonna do?
Right.
Don't get me wrong. You know me. I'm not a dog mentality alpha guy. So when I see something like that, I'm like, yeah, that's normal. Like,
she did not need to wear that Green Bay coat.
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird. But Hard Knocks covered that enough, and like I heard that on the radio all week, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, she shouldn't. Yeah, they have enough money. Though? But then at some point I was like, what the fuck is the McCaskey family doing? Like, get her a goddamn jacket. Like, what are you doing? Like,
I'm surprised. So
like
I'm sure you
this
heard
was
too.
custom. It
Yeah.
had his name.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't like a Packers jacket. It wasn't like
Well, it's from
green
last-
and yellow.
yeah.
It wasn't like green and yellow blowing up all over the sideline. It was like, yeah, it had images of him and pictures of him. It's like, yeah, if I'm a Bears owner, marketing, social media, McCaskey. If I'm McCaskey, I'm like, we should probably get her some gear. Like,
So I'm
don't
surprised they
give
showed
her a
it
chance.
because I had read or heard that the McCaskies had all rights over everything for that.
Well, they pretty much did, but
To make it PG Disney, rated G as they could. No swearing.
no swearing.
No cut. No cut room. Right. Not seeing anybody get cut. So
Yep.
maybe to add to the drama, maybe add to the conflict. I don't know. But that being said, it was not. It was a little lackluster, the game.
Yeah, I was bummed out.
But it was still a win.
But God damn it, like you said, don't give a shit. Give me 1-0.
1-0, baby. 1-0.
Because that's a trauma for our era. Like, we saw Rex Grossman and Kyle Orton take us to Super Bowl. We're like
Deep.
shit, that's not bad.
Those guys go deep. Number 8 went deep.
Yeah, 18.
Like, is that a Rex Grossman jersey? Is that a Kyle Orton jersey?
Like, that's our standard. That's our weird standard.
Are you saying we're going deep this year?
Yes, I am. I hate saying it. I don't have a beer in front of me. I want to be like, let's close this thing out properly. Again, thank you for taking the time to sit down and launch the podcast with me. You're not going to be the last, but you will always be the
Always
first.
be the first.
You'll always be the first.
Well, hopefully we launch this into
Yeah, it's
at
happening.
least the stratosphere.
Yeah, minimal stratosphere.
I know.
We got so much. We got so much more ahead of us right now.
Well, I think I can transition to your like side media guy,
No,
researcher.
everybody would be excited to be like, "Oh, that was the guy that did the first new episode of Joe's podcast," but also became like his own podcast, and Joe produced that. So, yeah.
Hey, cheers, brother.
Cheers,
This was enjoyable. Anytime I can talk about myself.
No, not about talking about you. It's about talking about like the whole thing. But I don't know. Where are we gonna go? We just cut it off here. Let's just cut it off here. So, you got any closing words about? Let's see. We pretty much went through a whole pantheon and journey of Nate Kren. What's our closing words? Like, obviously, you're doing things that are EMS, like you're closing out SWAT team missions. What drives you? What's the finish? What's like, hey, closing words.
Yeah. So here's what I tell new guys at work, because some of these new guys, I'm like, I could be your dad now. Like, I'm getting to that point in my career.
I'm 43.
44.
44? Good for you.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm getting to that point in my
You're
career.
like old as shit.
I was like, man, dude, my dad is old. He's not even old as you yet.
Pam.
But what I do tell these new guys, and we've been pretty lucky. They've been real good. I say, do something physical every day, right? If
They won't.
If you don't get to the gym, do something.
They won't.
Do some push-ups, right? And
That's Lebo shit right there.
Lebo shit.
Yeah.
And then learn something new every day. There's always something you can learn.
Yeah.
Right?
I always appreciate that about you. Like, you're constantly like, it's not like, I wrote this book by such and such. You're like, yeah, I'm interested. I want to like better myself.
And that's not, I'm not saying like learn how to, play the mandolin. I'm talking like,
Right.
hey,
Right.
I learned today that on my phone you can do this, or I learned today that in this you can do this, or just little things, something to add to your library. Because I will say this about the fire department. When I started, I didn't know squat about building construction, housing, building things, doing anything, cooking. I didn't know anything. But to me, I took it as a way to learn something new every time. What about this? What about, how does this work? How does this work? How do you make this? How do you do this? Like, take something, grab it, have passion with it, grow with it, learn with it, add to it every day. Try to leave it better than you had it, right? And then we didn't touch much on kids, but I'd say just be there.
Don't worry, we'll have a whole other episode about
right?
that. Yeah.
Just be a good, and we all make mistakes and put ourselves first sometimes, but like, just try to be good, man. It's hard. It is hard to do because they're gonna throw shit at you. You're gonna get curveballs. You're not gonna have the right prescriptions. You can't see the seams. Figure it out and let's go.
Always see the seams.
Figure it out and move on. You gotta figure it out. That's it. It's pretty simple.
Well, I fucked up the last bit here.
Oh,
don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. All right. First inaugural non-beer focused podcast. So that's you and me up there. It's you and me right here. Appreciate you.
loved it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.